The masses are going to go through every ailment there is. You can't be worrying about that, because if we can keep worrying about the trouble that the masses are in, we never cultivate anything among ourselves to get to the high level in which the masses are going to be a part of. Because ultimately, all this shit got to be destroyed. This shit is over.
I am inevitable.
Don't be fooled by the internet. It's cool to get on the computer, but don't let the computer get on you. It's cool to use the computer. Don't let the computer use you. You all saw The Matrix. There's a war going on. The battlefield's in the mind. The prize is the soul.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live, back in full effect.
We live.
Welcome to Night and Day Network. We got to get into the Epstein. We got some recent Epstein, news that came out for the Epstein, the island, inside the horrific Epstein Island. Women trying to escape. I think they said the one woman tried to swim away or something like that. So we gonna get into it, man. Make sure y'all hit that double tap the screen, like this video. Since we on the vertical, for y'all that's catch the replay, make sure y'all thumbs up this video and share it. We definitely appreciate it.
But remember, ultimately, all this shit has to be destroyed.
All right. Shout out to brother Bobby Emmett. You know what I mean? Shout out to Emmett. All this shit gotta be destroyed. Start all over again.
Start all over again.
We gotta start all over again,
y'all. This shit needs to be wiped out, and we need to start all over again. Another Noah's time event.
Right. The Great Reset.
Yep.
Right.
Set.
The Great Reset. Y'all come on in, man. Make sure y'all share this out. Double tap the screen, like this video. We on a vertical live stream, so all you gotta do is double tap to like this video. For y'all on the playback, y'all gotta hit the thumbs up button. Always remember that. But before we get into that, this video is sponsored by 90dayherbals.com. Let's go ahead and get into this quick commercial before we get into the content.
If you crave nature but still shop online, Night and Day Herbals is your dream come true. Discover premium herbal soaps, shampoos, and CBD products. All organic, all for you. Shop now at nightanddayherbals.com.
All right.
Shop with us.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Make sure we coming in clear. It's a little choppy. Y'all got excuse it because it's bad weather in the area
bad
we
weather
in.
out
So
here.
yeah. So
But spiritually, it's bad weather all over the planet.
all right, tell them. Let it be known. All right, let it be known. All right, so we got to get into so CNN did a piece on Epstein inside the Epstein Island. Little St. James and Great St. James is two different islands owned by Epstein. So he had two islands. He had Little St. James and he had the Great James Island. So
He had Gullah Island.
Gullah Island. Gilligan's Island.
Gilligan's Island, Gullah Island, all his.
All right, shout out to y'all just coming in. I see Awakening Now. Death Photos. All right.
Shout out to y'all.
God Nutty 77. All right. You said can't see? What you can't see? You said can't see? All right. So we gotta get into the CNN piece they put out on Little James. We're gonna break this shit down. And we watching it with y'all for the first time too. So let's get into it. All right. So this is Little St. James inside the horrific Epstein Island. CNN piece.
Infamous sex offender Jeffrey Epstein used the secluded island to both wine and dine the rich and build a trap where women and children as young as 12 describe rape, sexual abuse, and trafficking.
The girls and the young women went on the island were basic prisoners. You couldn't leave.
A CNN review of thousands of videos, photos, and emails in the DOJ files, written testimony from victims, and satellite imagery paint the clearest picture yet of how Epstein transformed this island into an elaborate crime scene. The files show the signs of abuse captured on camera.
It was just for Jeffrey's amusement.
Powerful guests publicly and repeatedly say they didn't see this abuse, but it was so obvious and bold, according to one victim, that anyone spending significant time at any of Epstein's residences would have clearly been aware of what was going on. To do what he...
And mind you, we got to get into recently two women, bodies was found on the Epstein Zorro Ridge. So we're going to get into that too. That was recent news that just came out today, that two bodies, they dug up and found two bodies on his ranch.
Disgusting.
So he was definitely burying bodies. He was definitely burying the bones, of his victims. So let's get into it.
Planned, Epstein used the island's seclusion.
This is my swimming pool. No one's allowed to dock here. My beach.
Helicopter or boat were the only way visitors could get to the island he purchased for about $8 million in 1998. In 2002, satellite images show the island, Little St. James, was barely developed. Just one main house here and a few small buildings on the northern tip of the roughly 70-acre island. Over the next 2 decades, you can see Epstein's building spree as he transformed it into a luxurious vacation escape, expanding the main home to the north. He built a larger pool, new cabanas, upgraded rooms, a dental office for some unknown reason, and this unusual-looking building, referred to in the files as a temple. He also bought a $300,000 antique desk and statues worth about $100,000. As Epstein developed his getaway, he wrote repeatedly in emails to business and government leaders, "Come visit me on my island." Even after Epstein was convicted in 2008 for sex crimes, including one involving a minor, the visitors kept coming. Like LinkedIn co-founder.
Mind you, he spent 13 months in prison where he was able to get out every day for 7 to 8 hours. He was allowed to get out.
It was 12 hours.
12 hours a day?
He was allowed 12 hours. 12 hours a day.
He was allowed 12 hours a day during his 13-month prison sentence to get out. Nobody in history was able to get out every day for prison. So that tells you right there, he basically, they just threw him in jail to make to satisfy, the state or whatever. But yeah, he was basically above the law. Let's continue.
Guaranteed he wasn't the one going back to that cell every night. He could have easily had a double.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. So technically, he ain't spent no time he ain't really spent no time in prison.
Right.
Nope.
He was just processed just to basically satisfy, the courts and, taxpayers and the state, and to make it look like they was actually fighting against the crime and shit.
Founder Reid Hoffman, who explained on a podcast late last year that he briefly went to the island while fundraising for MIT.
He was a masterful networker.
But beneath Epstein's business dealings, Virgin Islands prosecutors say Epstein coerced girls as young as 12 into sexual activity. One victim said she was trapped on the island. "I tried to escape Epstein and the others by trying to swim off after spending the day being raped." Epstein's home decor even showed signs of his crimes.
There were bunk beds. And I said to him, "Oh my God, are you expecting grandchildren?" And he said, "No, these are for the girls."
We spoke with architect and interior designer Robert Couturier. He was hired by Epstein to work on the island. He backed out of the project after a few months and then told the FBI this is what Epstein instructed.
Especially for the bunk rooms, they had to be for girls. They had to be for girls. There's dance, pink, and these sorts of things.
So there's no mistaking this wasn't for women.
There's no mistaking. You don't put women on bunk beds, I'm sorry. Unless you are in some youth hostel somewhere, but you don't have guest rooms with bunk beds for ladies. And inside the house, there was another little room with computers. And I said, "What is this room?" And he said, "This room is for the girls when they have fun. And they play with their computers. The whole house was very odd because we were on the beach and the house had heavy dark curtains everywhere. The windows were never really open. It felt terrible. And he also asked me, he said, I want to build a big TV room, a movie cinema underneath the pool, and I will furnish it with beds. Everybody knew.
Hold on. So he built basically a theater under the pool, and basically furnished it out and all that. I'm thinking like that nigga, that was his motherfucking torture dungeon under that goddamn pool, torturing women under that damn pool in a damn dungeon.
What was happening on that island? Even his staff, people worked for him.
A former staffer said the main home had many pictures of young girls, some topless, looking about 15 to 16 years old. In room after room of the island home, the files show visible signs of something off, like Epstein in his kitchen chasing girls or young women. And his staff noticed. A former chef said every hour Epstein would take a girl down to his master bedroom, then order his maid to clean up. Another staffer worried about Epstein's guests. He described seeing an unnamed man with girls who did not look 18 and they were all naked. He also told the FBI he saw then Prince Andrew grinding against some young girl in the pool. UK authorities arrested Andrew last month, saying they're reviewing claims he shared sensitive government information with Epstein. Andrew was released and denies he did anything wrong. Victims say visitors could have seen all this as early as the mid-2000s. One victim described a 2007 visit by Google co-founder Sergey Brin and then fiancé and 23andMe co-founder Anne Wojcicki. They observed that we did not speak and that we remained mute. Sergey and Anne witnessed our souls and bodies riddled with fear. They said nothing. They did nothing. A man who looks like Brin, about the same age as he was in 2007, is seen in this picture in the DOJ files, though it is undated. Former head of Victoria's Secret, Les Wexner, described his visit in a video deposition.
Walked around for a while and left. Probably an hour visit.
On that trip, do you recall seeing any prominent figures on the island?
No, it was a pretty crummy island.
After Epstein's 2008 sex crimes conviction, an email shows the Sultan from the United Arab Emirates, Ahmed bin Sulayem, paid a visit. The Sultan separately traded lewd emails with Epstein, telling him he was going to sample a fresh 100% female Russian at my yacht. Howard Lutnick, now Trump's Commerce Secretary, dropped by in 2012. He's seen here in this undated photo. Lutnick said last month he saw nothing concerning.
We had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation.
What do you think about the people who did go to the island and say they never saw anything?
Listen, I think you can decide that you're blind. You can decide that you only want to see what you want to see. I think it's a decision that you make. But the idea that a person would go to that island and not see something weird is impossible to me. For me to have seen it, everybody else had to see it.
When you think back to how obvious it was to you, do you wonder about, no one saying anything back then?
I've been wondering for the last 15 years. If in 2010 I knew it and we all knew it and I was interrogated and nothing happened, and that he died in 2019 having perpetrated more crimes from 2010 to 2019, and that we could have saved so many young women that wouldn't have had to go through what they went through.
Sergey Ben. Yeah, these wicked individuals. You notice it's all types of people went there from heads of all different countries went there. It wasn't just that's what we trying to tell people. This global network of Epstein was it's bigger than just Democrat Republican. You see, this shit is global with this organization.
You gotta understand what Epstein was doing. Epstein was the guy who was the financier who financed everything. So if he was able to finance everything, that means he was dealing with a lot of money all the time from very powerful people, from funding anything from, experiments, gun trades, whatever they do, however they do it, moving people around. So he had records of all these people that he worked with globally that he did some financing for. And he does off the books financing, black projects. So he was able to move everything around because he knew trade routes, secret trade routes, and everything all around the planet. Because this was the guy that everybody went to get those types of things done, whatever like illegal stuff they needed to get done. He helped get it financed and he helped move the money around. That was his thing. And he said in an interview himself that he worked with the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the Trilateral Commission. If anybody know who those things are, or who those people are, you know what type of power they hold, and all the type moves that they make all over the world globally, and all the events they control from behind the scenes in the shadows.
Right. Yeah, that your question is good as ours. Why isn't no one arrested? Being arrested because they're basically protecting these people.
Because they control the people who's supposed to be doing the arresting.
Right.
So now it's to the people. If the people can sit back for centuries and wait for them to make a move and arrest these people, they're never going to do that. Because the people that's supposed to be arresting them are in on it too.
Right.
That's the problem. So
They're
I
not
mean,
gonna
if you
arrest
want to keep
themselves.
asking that question, answer it. Answer it. It's because the people who's supposed to arrest them are in on it, so they're not going to arrest themselves. That's the answer to that question.
Facts.
So it's going to be up to the people. If the people don't do nothing, it's just going to get worse. Simple as that.
As it already did.
Yep.
Because no one's doing nothing about this.
There you go. The loop continues. Right, the fox watching the hen house. That's exactly the term for that. And when we say these type things, we actually have to and actually understand what we're saying. If the people don't, there's no point sitting around, asking these questions that we all know the answer to. We know why none of them were arrested and kept in prison and, indicted and everything. It's because they own the authorities. You gotta understand. He worked with the ones that loan all the money to every country in the world and got every country in debt. The people he worked for basically own the central banks that own the world when it comes to money flow. They control the money flow. So this guy that he worked with control the money flow, which means everything. All your investments, your pensions, they control everything. So if they control your pensions and they control your economy, they also control the economy of the authorities also. These people are above the law, obviously, because we allow them to be. The general public allowed them to be. And they've been operating in the shadows for a long time. But since we had the internet, which has been damn near 3 decades that the public was like really into the internet, about 3 decades. We had all this information at our fingertips. We knew who the bad guys were after a while. Now to the point they don't even hide it because they know nobody's going to do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. That's why they so arrogant.
Yep.
Because they not really getting met with no type of resistance. Some, but it's not enough.
Not enough.
To make an impact on their establishment. It's not enough to make an impact on, only way you can really make an impact on them is financially. Because everything we do is funding that. Everything we buy, everything we sell, everything we work for, they tax us up to kazoo to basically fund these operations. That's what's happening. So they got us basically in some type of financial slavery when it comes to them, funding their operations. Yeah. That's what's happening. So, yeah.
And the thing is, their operations that they run is what basically fuels the whole world. And we allowing this. And it's all wickedness. That's why everything that just look at the media. Like everything that's negative get attention.
Yeah.
You know, that's how they suck the energy out of people, because they're vampires. They're leeches. More so leeches than vampires, I'ma say. They just leech. A lot of them just leech off of, and because the people are so gullible, like we're so
Yeah,
gullible as the general public, we're so gullible that we just let these people leech off of us.
they're parasitic.
Yeah, right.
They're parasites.
Matter of fact, they below leeches, because leeches, they below even the leeches. Never mind. I'm just gonna call them vampires, bro. I'm just gonna call them
Vampire.
vampires. Yeah, they definitely into vampirism.
Blood sucking fiends.
And the thing is, their vampirism see, we only see one form of vampirism. We just think, oh, the nigga with the cape on come suck the blood out your neck. But there's other types of vampires, energetic vampires. These guys are, and that's even worse, because they know how to energetically extract the energy out of your soul, out of your whole existence. Because they created, and that's what this society, the way they structured. He worked for the people that structured modern society. That's why people want to. Well, damn, how do BlackRock own everything? How do State Street and Vanguard? How those companies own everything? It's because the people that own those companies is what orchestrated society. Because everything that we do in our world is dominated by a corporation now, which means we're technically in bondage. And our slave masters are the people that Epstein worked for, that he represented. See, Epstein was just a face. He was just a face.
Yeah, he's just a representative.
Help move the energy around that the vampires extracted from society. He's the one who helped move the energy around. So he's a vampire, but he's not even a high-ranking vampire.
Right.
He's just a representative of the high-ranking vampires. And when they was done with him, you see what they do. When they done using, see, they use him just as a fall guy also. Because you think that just Epstein was running everything, then you blind. Epstein was the guy that they threw to the public, but the operations that he was running are continuing as we speak.
Exactly.
They're never going to stop.
Yeah, they just change faces. That's it. Yeah, the operation continues. So it's still more Epsteins out here. It's right now as we speak. There's another Epstein that took his place. So you gotta learn.
There's already thousands of them out there.
Yeah.
So they ain't even really got to take his place. They
the next fall guy. Yeah, but the next fall guy would be just another type of Epstein.
Facts.
Keep them fall guys in place.
So even those guys are disposable.
Yep.
And they just work for the vampires. I tell y'all all the time, the best example you could get of how their organization worked from the top all the way down. Watch the movie called The Underworld.
Right.
The movie The Underworld, explains how they run their empire, they were all vampires that ran society.
And that's what and Blade. See, that's what these Rothschilds and Rockefellers and all these people are there.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Epstein admitted that he worked for the Rothschilds and Rockefellers. They are the ones that set up all these systems. For instance, Rockefeller set up the educational system in America.
And you know if it's a vampire, you'll know if it's a vampire system that you're in, because the taxes are always, extremely high, because taxes is a representation of how they drain your energy.
Right.
Because you put out all this energy to work, and then it gets drained by taxes and the manipulation that they do with the economy. That's a form of vampirism. The way they're draining the economy, and we have to work extra harder because what they do. Like, we're getting taxed for the same thing like 4 or 5 times over.
Right.
And that drains the energy from the households that's trying to survive. You overtax somebody. That's what the whole taxation without representation shit was all about during the Revolutionary War.
Right.
Because if you tax too much, then we're just working for them and we're enslaved. And the people that Epstein worked for, the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, they own all the banks that we're in debt to. When you see that $38 trillion national debt, that's because we kept borrowing money from the central banks, from the Federal Reserve banks. And the thing is, we got the taxpayers have to pay back that money. And the Fed is the one that manipulate the interest rates to how much we have to pay back interest on every dollar. And it's the whole operation is completely illegal and against our Constitution. It's against our rights as citizens to have to deal with that type of tyranny, to where our government is able to basically, get all this money from this bank with no oversight, and then the taxpayers, we have to pay the bank back.
Exactly.
And the thing is, they don't even really have this money. That's the crazy thing. The central banks is a Ponzi scheme. But if anybody else do a Ponzi scheme outside of what they're doing, you will get infinite years in jail. If they catch you doing a Ponzi scheme with the banking system, you would get 10,000 years in prison time. But while they do it right out in the open, and the fact that we don't understand how most of us don't understand how the money system work. Because if we did, it would already be a riot out there. But most people don't understand how the money system. We don't realize we're being screwed 24/7, and then they set a system of propaganda up where we blame each other. Oh, you're not working hard enough. Oh, you're not smart enough. Oh, you got to be smart with your money. You got to be smart with this. But the rules change every year because the elites, which I hate to call them, they just control freaks. The vampires. I'm just gonna call them the vampires, because the vampires actually set up the system to where it keeps changing all the time. The tax codes, and they only change it so they could take advantage of the tax code. And as soon as other people outside of them start catching on, they change again.
That's like they do with the algorithm.
That's what I was about to say. It's based off an algorithm, and it's a vampire system. So every time that you, the regular citizen, day-to-day person, find a way to be able to use the same loopholes that they use, they close them up and then they do another one. But the old loopholes is prison time now. That's how they do it. If you still following the old pattern, then you go into prison. And the thing is, these tax codes only basically support them. Everybody else is basically get the short end of the stick.
Yeah, it's all coded. It's all coded too. So they already programmed it to change every 3 months, every quarter. The algorithm changes. So they was able to basically pre-program it, coded it, and because regular citizens figures a way to catch on to the algorithm. So they have to keep it. They have to have it change every quarter. So it's all coded. It's never repeated. It's never repeated codes. It's all coded. It always changes. It never repeats itself too. So once you figure out the algorithm, you figure out how to they change it. Yeah.
As soon as you figure it out,
the thing is, you might be able to eat off of it for a little bit before it changes.
Before they closed it, yep.
Before they close it,
and only they have access to what's going to be next. They already know, so they there front and center taking advantage of it.
Yeah, it's already what they do is they pre-program it, because artificial intelligence is actually, code. They use artificial intelligence to basically govern the algorithm. So they pre-program the algorithm to change every so often. You know what I mean? So that's why they're able to stay ahead, because they know what the next programming is going to be. They know what the next algorithm.
Because they create the programming.
Yeah. They
the ones that create the program, and they create the code.
Right.
Get artificial intelligence. Now they get artificial intelligence.
Yeah, they got artificial intelligence to basically process it, because they're able to keep track of all the they're able to keep track of all the activity on social media. The
And the
humans
thing
could
is, it's the people
human
like
yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein that
Yeah, he
finances those
financed that
projects.
project. Yeah, he financed
Like all the
yeah,
AI shit, the Bitcoin, the crypto,
yeah,
they use people like Epstein to basically move that money around to fund
yeah,
those projects.
yeah. He was the money man. And it wasn't his money because he
Nope.
represent the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds and all them. It was
Right.
their money. They always find a representative because you gotta realize the Rockefellers and Rothschilds is actually representatives of the queen, of the monarchs over there, the Vatican and all that. They actually are like the advisors. But these advisors have advisors as well. So Epstein will be an advisor to the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds to find out what's the next project to invest the money in. Sort of like Winthrop and fucking Trading Places when he worked for Duke and Duke. You find out where, the money to invest, what's the next thing or what's the next big thing that's happening to basically, finance that. Whether it's they financing a new disease like COVID-19 or they funding a new, technology to basically govern the people. That's what they do. That's what this guy was. But you got to understand, there's still stipulations in place where there's certain people they still got to go through. Like, for instance, Congress. You still have these things in place, which these people are getting caught in, compromising positions by people like Epstein. That's why they're able to get bribed and blackmailed to go along with whatever's going to go along with, because Epstein is a guy in places that actually that's his mission, to find out what's the next thing to invest their money in, who's in the way of that, who's who has basically governance over that, where because it's still things in place where you still have to follow certain things. So that's why his job was to just go out and blackmail people, and he was actually taking over people's finances by doing that shit too, like Lex Wexner. You seen when he did his deposition, he had to say that they found where Epstein he signed over a lot of his financial companies to Epstein. Now, why would the F he do that? And they asked him, and they asked him, "Were you being blackmailed by Jeffrey Epstein?" He said, "No, but for you to sign over companies to Epstein, that you means you was blackmailed."
And they wasn't his companies, and they probably wasn't his companies to begin with. That's another thing. A lot of times, these guys don't even really be the true owners of these companies. A lot of times, y'all gotta understand the intelligence agencies be owning these companies on the low. Yeah, exactly. But they put people in front of it so it make it look like they don't have no involvement. For instance, I'm gonna give y'all like Facebook or Meta, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Zuckerberg, CIA.
Yeah, that's literally American and Israeli intelligence combining, and basically Facebook, they own Facebook from the beginning.
From the beginning, bro.
From the beginning.
People like Zuckerberg are just the programmers. These the people that go in and they, they're the ones that, has the codes and the program. Same thing like with Bill Gates. He was the programmer for Microsoft. But
and then he was a scam artist because he was the one behind all these people that they used to put viruses on a computer, tell people the virus scanners and all that shit, antivirus software. And he took that same hustle and now he's doing it to biologically to humans. You behind funding the gain of functions research to basically create these viruses, then you come with the so-called cure afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you affect people with the virus, but then you come with the cure. Same shit, the same hustle you was doing with the computers when you own Microsoft.
Problem, reaction, solution.
Yep. They the ones create the virus, affect a whole bunch of systems, and then they all of a sudden they come with the antiviral software. And when you do enough digging, you will find out they own that too.
Yeah.
So they behind the hackers that's hacking shit, and they behind they behind the virus, and they behind the antivirus software. So just take that same model and move it over to every other field. So if you see the economy collapsing, They're the ones that's collapsing the economy on purpose so they could come with their solution. If you see a war that's brewing, believe me, they plan the war, and then all of a sudden they gonna come with the solution to the war. That's they do the same shit with everything. That same business model. That's how you can spot these vampires.
Right.
And Epstein was definitely a representative of these vampires, and he was a vampire himself. That's why they physically drunk blood also, after energetically extracting it from the masses at the same time.
Right. All right, let's get into this real quick. The New Mexico authorities launched a search at Epstein former Zorro ranch. All right, so let's get into a quick commercial break. We'll be right back before we get into
If you crave nature but still shop online, Night and Day Herbals is your dream come true. Discover premium herbal soaps, shampoos, and CBD products. All organic, all for you. Shop now at nightandayherbals.com.
All right, the way to support us, if y'all support what we doing, make sure y'all head over there and shop with us at nightandayherbals.com. We sell nothing but natural herbal products. We don't use any synthetics or any chemical sprays on any of our products, from the natural soaps to the CBDs to the hair care products, skin care products. Everything is naturally made. Sea moss on there, everything. Yup, we have natural sea moss, organic sea moss on there as well. So make sure y'all shop with us, man. That's the way to support us, as well as liking the video, sharing the content as well. So we're gonna keep y'all coming, high quality products with high quality topics, man. So make sure y'all, if you didn't subscribe, make sure you subscribe to this channel. The links to the shop is in the description of this video and pinned to the chat. All right. So let's get back into this. All right.
Are swarming Jeffrey Epstein's notorious New Mexico ranch after an email in the Epstein files claims 2 foreign girls were strangled to death during rough fetish sex. And Epstein ordered the bodies to be buried on the ranch.
Wow.
Like a lot of things in the Epstein files, that report is unconfirmed. But authorities are now searching the property, thousands of acres. The ranch has been a dark mystery for years, and people are finally talking. A New Mexico state rep told the Daily Mail this, quote, "We have people coming forward saying they were drugged, had sex organs and sperm harvested from their bodies,
wow,
and woke up around medical equipment, not knowing where they were or what happened to them."
Wow.
Investigators are swarming Jeffrey Epstein's notorious New Mexico.
So, and they already was, looking at the ranch because of the files. And that's the only reason that put them onto the ranch, because of the shit that was inside the Epstein files. So they saying they found 2 bodies basically on the property of Epstein. There's probably more bodies on there. Now y'all gotta remember when he was under investigation, and they launched the investigation on the same day, he bought 30,000 gallons of sulfuric acid. And sulfuric acid is used to basically get rid of, you could put whole bodies in there, it basically disintegrates the bones and everything. So why would he order 30,000 gallons of sulfuric acid to the island to basically hide the evidence? Yep. So they launched an investigation on this, and the thing about it is, like, it's all these investigating for, and who's going to jail behind it. That's another thing too. Like, y'all launch an investigation on that, but is anybody going to jail behind that? I don't know. I don't think so. No one went to jail yet. No one went to jail yet except Ghislaine Maxwell. And
but this is my question though. Who's going to put them in? This is my question I ask for everybody. Why he ain't going to jail? Why people ain't going to jail? This is my question. Who's going to put them in jail?
Right.
Who's going to do it? Because the people involved with him is not going to put him in jail.
Right.
And the thing is, a lot of them probably being blackmailed. The ones who ain't into that type of stuff,
right,
they probably being blackmailed into, stuff that's just embarrassing and still might end their careers.
Yeah.
some of the people who ain't saying nothing, they don't necessarily mean that they did the worst of the worst. Sometimes it's just the fact that they're being blackmailed on something. Because, you know, these people was able to get into emails and, you know,
Yeah.
intercept encrypted messages and all types of shit. So they got, and, you know, getting people metadata. They able to pull up anybody's metadata at any given time to see what you've been looking at on the internet, to see what you're into, everything. All of our shit is online now.
Yeah.
And creeps like this knew all that information, so they was definitely monitoring politicians and people that, you know, heads of authorities, you know, like people heads of the military. Like they got all types of information on everybody.
Yeah.
So they able to blackmail. So even if, like, for example, let's say somebody just, they might not be doing something as far as, like, you know, with children and drinking blood and human sacrifice, but they could have been being a scandal to where maybe they cheated on their spouse and they're in a high position, you know, where that'll be frowned upon. They could possibly lose, you know, their job,
Yeah, like
their
Bill Gates and
contracts
Melinda.
or whatever.
Yeah, like Bill Gates and
like
Melinda
that.
getting a divorce and shit.
Yeah.
Because the Epstein shit come out with him, you know.
It's a lot of that too. So a lot of those people ain't going to arrest them. Because they're like, well, if I arrest them, then they're going to release all the shit all the information that they got on me, and it can ruin my career.
Yeah.
So that's one reason why they not getting arrested. Another reason why they ain't getting arrested, because a lot of people, you know, a lot of those people are powerful people that even own all the goddamn organizations and structures that run the world. So if they own them, you know, they own the law enforcement also. So they're not going to arrest themselves. So it's just simple as that. So we might as well just stop asking that question. Like, why aren't they getting arrested? It's like, that's not even a question anymore. We know why. Now what we going to do about it, since we know why?
That's the key question, is what the people
right.
going to do about
it. That's where we at now, like the present. You know what I'm saying? That's what we. And the thing is, yeah, somebody said allegedly Epstein is dead. Yeah, you gotta say allegedly, or you gotta say, yeah, maybe he's dead.
Right.
Because the thing is, with these types of guys, these types of illusionists, because that's what they are, they're illusionists. It could easily replace that man and say that, oh, they killed it, when they really could have just killed the clone or didn't kill nobody and just told us that and actually just moved him to the back and faked his death. They can easily fake people's death. They brag about it in movies all the time where they faking people's death. They give them some type of serum to make it look like they heart stopped and they breathing stopped, but everything is just so slow. They still alive, but everything is just so slow. They appear dead. And when they take them somewhere, and the next thing you know, a couple hours later, they wake up. Everybody else thought they were dead, and they just keep on running the operations just like they did before they got arrested. Like, it's the same shit. Like, they could do this anytime and play in our face. Especially if they behind the whole system. If they behind everything, they could easily play in our faces like that. And that's what they've been doing. So this guy, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't believe he's dead neither. I don't believe he's dead just by the fact this is the type of game that they've been playing.
Yeah, right.
They've been doing this. They've been doing, just like they said back in the day, they said Hitler wasn't even really dead when they claimed that he was dead. They said Hitler had so many different decoys that you don't know, and a lot of those decoys would pull the trigger on themselves. That's how dedicated they were to Hitler's orders. Like, they actually pull the trigger on themselves, and they did that all the time. Some of them even like had hide little ricin capsules in their teeth, so if they get caught, they're supposed to bite on it and it kills them instantly. Like, that's the type of stuff that they were into. So they would have people ready to die for them and everything. So that's how you know. That's how you know right there that is a possibility that this guy is still alive. They could have easily put someone else in this cell and made them do that to themselves. And they got many ways the way they do that. Oh, if you do this, they could be blackmailing somebody into doing that. Like, if you do that, then I'll make sure your family's taken care of when you gone.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they got enough money to do that.
Yeah.
And enough influence to do that type of stuff. That's how you know right there this man might be still alive. But I don't even think it matters if he's still alive or not, because the operations that he was running will still run with or without him. It's not like all operations are going to stop just because Epstein is dead. You think he's the only one running a big organization like that that's actually tied to every powerful person in the world? It had every powerful person in the world come to his island or his ranch at one time or another.
You're right.
You think someone who have operations going on like that if something happened to him, there's no replacement? Like, so it don't even matter about Epstein at this point. Now it's about how do the people shut down these operations and bring these people to justice?
Financially first educating yourself on, being aware of what's going on, what's taking place. That's the point why we do these live streams, just to bring awareness. That's the first thing, because a lot of people really caught
and
up
inspire.
A lot of people
we're here to bring awareness and inspire. We can't. People say, "Well, won't y'all go do something?" We are doing something. We're trying to inspire, because we ain't like we could go up there ourselves and tell them, lock them up. Like, who the fuck are we?
Right. Yeah, it has to be like.
Do?
Yeah, it has to be like a growth of awareness in the collective of awareness. Because financially, it's going to be, they're going to have to feel some type of blowback financially, and that's where we're going to have to be, basically, we're going to have to put the pressure on them to basically, because a lot of how they're able to still operate is because they're riding off the energy of the people. So once we start, being resilient and start actually putting the pressure on them, like, listen, we're not paying into this no more. We're not buying these corporations no more. We're not buying into them. We're not going to vote. We're not putting no votes in for these criminals, because that's basically what you're voting. When you're voting for these politicians, you're voting for this system, this Epstein type system. That's what we voting for, basically. So I think the people have to be aware of what's going on first and foremost, and we need to start actually financially withholding back financially from these corporations. That's the only way, because a physical fight, that's not gonna work. Going out there and protesting in the streets and all that shit, that shit is not gonna work.
And the thing is, we can give people solutions all day, but all the solutions are people collectively have to do these things.
Yeah, it's a collective. It's definitely a collective.
Like I'm gonna give y'all an example of a way that the collective can fight back. Now, this is the solution part of the stream. Because all right, we told y'all the problems. How could we take these powerful people down if the powerful people who's able to arrest them ain't going to do it because they in on it? One of the things you could do is for everybody not to go use the internet for 2 or 3 days.
Right.
Don't go and don't sign into no accounts. Don't do nothing. Don't use no social media, nothing for 3 days. If you want to get back, because I'm gonna tell you right now, even the shit that we talking now about taking our power back, look what we're doing it on. We're on the platforms that they own.
Right.
We talking this very shit on the platforms that they own. That's the irony of all of this.
Right.
Because for us to reach everybody like we want, we have to do it through their technology.
Yeah, you have to go where the people are at. Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, we have to show them that it's not their technology anymore. It's the people.
Yeah, it's the people.
Public now.
Yeah, even though they came up with it.
Even if y'all created it, who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
it still belongs
it's for everybody. It's just like both cars. You just keep it down at your house.
Right. So the way to show them that and get back at them, like, all right, we ain't gonna support this shit unless you do what we say. You just stop using it for like 3 or 4 days, and they should have collapsed.
Yeah, start making demands.
How long did Facebook go out before they lost over what, like 10 billion, 20 billion?
Yeah, it was like $10 billion. It was out for a couple hours. It was out for a couple hours.
Facebook was out for a couple of hours, and they lost $10 billion. Just in a couple of hours for it being out.
Yeah, because all the sponsorships, all the market. Yeah.
If people stop pumping gas for a week straight, that will completely
people
open
stay home.
Right.
Yeah, imagine people just stop working, just sat home. They ain't go nowhere. They ain't signing the shit. Nothing. they'd be fucked up in the game, and they know that. They know that. That's
Yeah,
why they keep us all group in these groups, separated in these
divided.
groups,
Yep.
divided, so they can be able to easily control people that way. But if people was to actually come together and actually just don't do anything, don't spend no money, just sit home, don't sign in this shit, don't spend no money, don't go to work, none of that shit. You can't fire everybody. What you gonna do? Fire everybody? I mean, if you fire people, guess what? That means your company tanks and goes under. See, the people gotta realize the power of the power of its infrastructure is at the bottom. The power is at the bottom of the pyramid, not at the top. The power is the legs that they use to stand on to keep this system going. The power is at the bottom. They riding off the backs of the people. That's why they got to keep us separated. They got to keep us separated in order to keep us, fighting amongst each other. But once they realize the people were banded together, hey, what the fuck y'all gonna do with that? I'm talking about worldwide. Worldwide.
And the thing is, I think the people who just work at big corporations shouldn't go into work. People who work at
That
small
alone.
moms,
Right.
people who work at moms and pop shops, and people who got their own businesses and stuff, go into work for them. And
Right.
that'd be the only businesses that's open. Let the corporations collapse and fall in on themselves.
And we in taxes. See, that's the way they want to keep us
Yep,
in line
fuck
is
that too.
taxes. Like, nah,
They tax us for everything.
right. And that's the way they're able to keep people in line is through the taxes.
So that would take the government employees to not go into work at all. If you for any type of government, don't go for 2-3 weeks. That's the thing. The only people that need to be going to work is the people who work for small moms and pop shops. The only places that people need to go if they need things.
If they need
Go to
food,
them to
right.
support. Yep.
Yeah, because you could shop at local. You know what I mean? Like you could shop locally for your food and your necessities that you need.
Right.
You can get that locally.
Facts.
You don't have to go to Walmart and all these big ass.
Let the farmers markets be popping.
Yeah.
But all the corporations, nobody enter them. That's a way to fight back, right there.
Right.
People have to be educated about what's going on to want to be able to do that.
Right.
That's the thing. A lot of people don't care where anything comes from, and they're not educated on the matter until they're 100% controlled, and that's what's coming. If we don't stop these corporations and these wicked governments, because that's mainly who it is, y'all. It's mainly the wicked government and the corporations. Because the people are completely controlled by corporations. Just look around your house and look at everything that's owned by major corporations. Everything in your existence. Everything in your existence.
All right. And the thing about it is certain things that that we lean on the corporations for, like filling up our cars with the gas and shit like that. But if people start get on some omni, start traveling by bike and and horses and shit like that, we might have to take it back to those days. In order, it might have to revert back to those days, man. Because
that's
right, and that's what it seemed like it's gonna have to revert back to the days where people actually traded their skills, and it wasn't all about just because
this is the time
that's
where
the only
people
way.
Testing authority. Like, you know how we're like taught to bow down to authority no matter what?
Yeah.
Like on some military type shit. This is the time where people need to be questioning that authority, because now we seeing the authority figures are more guilty than the criminals that they prosecute.
And now, and it's crazy that you said that, because look at this war that they got started over there.
Yeah,
and they already got soldiers from America dying for some shit that they don't have nothing to do with us.
They don't have shit to do with us at all. And you would have some brainwashed wacko come in and say, "Oh, you just don't know Trump's strategy. Oh, you just don't know how this is going to benefit America," but it is. Ain't shit that nobody do from that Oval Office benefit Americans. I don't know why people still brainwashed to believe that. That Trump character is bleeding this country dry, and that's what he was put in office to do. And the last administration was just as worse. Like, there's no one in that Oval Office, I don't care what party they from. I don't care if it's Democratic or Republican. And those are the only two parties they let, even though we got like 10 parties, those are the only two parties that they let
those
into
two.
Oval Office.
Yeah.
Either a Democrat or Republican.
Yeah, those are the two commercialized.
Those are the two commercialized one that people only know about. And the thing is, they're always controlled, 100% controlled. I don't give a fuck if it's Trump, Biden, Bush, Obama, Reagan, Daddy Bush. I don't give a fuck who it is.
Nixon,
you know what I'm saying? Nixon, Truman.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck who it is. Carter, Jackson, Washington. I don't give a fuck who it is. They are controlled. Anybody in that Oval Office, anybody in government is controlled. Like, they never been for the American citizens, ever. This country has never been great for nobody. It's always been
this land's been great.
It's always been a scam.
Right. This land was great when Native Americans had it, and it was basically doing, we was trading. It wasn't really a money system. We were just basically trading based off the skills. This tribe was able to, had this certain thing. We was trading by tribes. It was tribes. We was living under basically tribal sovereignty. That's when this country was great. When all this European shit came in and they started building and industrializing this place, that's when it all became fucked up. When they start building industries on this shit. All the wars at the beginning was based off the fact of where we at today to basically build these infrastructures. That's all this shit was really about at the beginning.
Facts.
They had an idea to come over here and basically they already knew natives was over here. Their idea was to come conquer this land, kill everybody on it, take it over and build new infrastructures. Railroads and industrial plants and shit like that. That was the plan from the beginning.
That's why suburban households where you can't get your own shit or have livestock.
Right. This shit was already in the plan before they even brought they silly asses over here to conquer our people.
We don't realize this is
already here. Right.
We don't realize that this is a complete takeover, and we're all, like the general public, we're all slaves, but we don't see it as that. And it's crazy that you could be in bondage and not even realize you're in bondage. Because if you actually step outside of it and see how this structure is ran, like how we have to work for this system nonstop, and they able to tax every little thing we do to the point we only have just enough we have to keep going back to them. Like, majority of Americans are one paycheck to two paychecks away from being homeless. Like, that's like most of the country. So you get just enough to where you have to go back. You get just enough to where you pay all your bills and you broke. And you got to go back to them and depend on them to basically give you the money to have access to resources. Like, that's literally bondage. Like, I don't understand how we don't realize that yet. And we're stuck buying stuff that they produce. We don't produce our own food anymore. Like, the average American don't produce their own food anymore, which means that we don't have control over our food supply. So if you want to question whether that's poison or not, or whether we being ripped off, yes, it's poison in you being ripped off, because it comes from the people who don't give two shits about you. Like, we're like back in the day, before all this suburban shit, before all this, like, our great grandparents used to produce our own foods. Like, we produce our own food. We made our own clothing. All of that type shit. Now we depend on the corporations for all of that.
Yeah,
and they tax it up to kazoo, and they're able to build infrastructure out of all that money they collect from us to keep us even more enslaved. The more roads they build, that's the more taxes. You know what I mean? The more business districts over, open land that they build, that means less. That means less animals. You won't be able to own animals or grow a big ass field of food anymore, because now you're in a business district and you got to go to a grocery store that's made by them, and the food in there is from their factories, and you got to depend on that, and you can't have your own because the law says you can't, because they created these fucking laws to where in certain areas you can't grow your own food or anything like that. So yeah, you're in 100% bondage. Like, if you gotta depend on the grocery store 100%, you gotta depend on them to clothe you, bathe you, feed you, then basically you're in bondage to them, because now you're part of their system. You can't do shit on your own, and that means you're owned by them 100%. That's why the government hate groups like the Amish so much, because the Amish, they don't depend on corporations for anything. They grow their own food, they make their own clothing. They don't need gas because they travel by horseback or bike or motherfucking scooters. Like, they off the grid. They don't use the regular power grid. Most of them run their house off of well water. Like, all that shit, you know what I'm saying, is basically freedom. Even though, of course, as a human, you got to put in work, regardless of where you putting in work. But at least when the Amish put in all that work, they putting it back into themselves. It's not going to some wicked ass individual like Epstein to human traffic kids all over the planet. Their money goes back, their long hours of work goes back into their family and generations on, because they building their own houses, they make their own clothes, they growing their own food, they processing their own food. You know what I mean? They ain't enslaved to the power grid, or they able to raise utility bills on us. You know what I mean? They not attached into what gas prices is doing. They don't give a shit about what gas prices is doing, because they don't depend on gas. They depend on shit that God put down here for us. You know what I'm saying? Animals to travel. They travel on horseback and shit. Like, you understand, like, we are complete, like, the normal general public American citizen is in complete bondage. If we don't see it, we don't see how much we in bondage. Because we have to do, in order for us to survive now, we have to do what the market tell us to do. And the market is 100% manipulated by people like Epstein and his goons. The people that he worked for. It's completely owned and manipulated by these wicked vampires that just basically treat us as cattle and use us for entertainment and work labor. That's it. That's what they use us for. 100%. That's all they do. They got us in these weird credit systems where they judging basically how good of a slave we are to basically be on top of their slave system. Make sure you pay on your debt, which everybody's going to have debt. I mean, you buy a house and you get a loan and they convince you that you bought a house when really you in debt to the bank. You don't own shit. You didn't buy. If you're paying a mortgage or you renting, it's the same shit. Like, paying a mortgage and renting means you don't own the property at all. Back in the day when people used to own a property, way back before people had to pay property tax and all that bullshit, people really owned their homes and really owned the land that it was on. Now you don't own shit right now. You don't own jack. Like, oh, I got a house here and a house there. Where's you got it financed? That's not your house, buddy. Oh, you paid it off? Oh, you still got to pay property taxes on it, because if you don't, it's not your house, buddy. It's never your house. It's never. And then we learn to judge each other based off of that type of shit. Whether a person is taking out a mortgage or they renting, you're a better human than me because you're able to pay for a mortgage opposed to me renting. You see how dumb we are? You see how dumb that sounds when both are renting? Like, you're renting from the motherfucking bank and that person's renting from the landlord who's renting from the bank. Like, no matter, yo, at the end of the day, you renting from the bank. At the end of the day. I mean, it don't matter if you renting from a landlord because they renting from the bank, or you cut out the middleman, which is the landlord, and now you renting from the bank yourself, and you call it owning the house, but you got a mortgage, a 30-year fucking mortgage. You don't own shit. You don't own nothing. You are a slave. And nobody can prove me wrong by saying this. You are enslaved to people like Epstein and his blood-sucking goons. How you feel about that? How y'all feel about that? You are enslaved to a race of vampires who kidnap kids, cut them up, drink their blood. You know what I mean? Do all these types of rituals and sacrifices, manipulate the economy, manipulate, you know, social economics and everything. They manipulate society 100%, kill you off, drink your blood, poison your food, poison your water, and that's who we are paying taxes to. That's who own your mortgage. Those are the people who own your mortgage. People like Epstein own your mortgage. You're paying your mortgage every month to people like Epstein. Y'all get like the reality we in? Like anybody who have any type of common sense that can see through this bullshit that we in, we see these things and we just don't blow them off and like, oh yeah, we see the reality and the darkness and the harshness behind this shit. We like, damn, you mean to tell me even though we pay mortgage every month, we work hard as shit just to pay this money to somebody like Epstein, who actually a pedophile that kills women and children? Damn, this is who we paying. This is who we paying our mortgage to. People like this. This guy owns 3 different islands, a yacht, 2 private jets. You know what I mean? Real estate all over the United States. All this shit he got. And then you got the average American struggling, don't even know where their next meal is coming from. Or or after they pay all their bills, motherfucker ain't got $1. You gotta wait till next week to do something. That's the reality that we in. I don't know why people, what more is it going to take for people to just stop this shit? Just like, let's stop supporting these individuals. We need to learn. We need to all be humble and go to the Amish and ask them for help. Like majority of everybody. Because we need to learn how to do shit ourselves again. And I know there's not, I know the Amish is like ones that we like to use for example, because we live close to them and we work with them with some type of thing, with certain things, and we see how they live. And we like, damn, if everybody lived like that, we wouldn't have to support people like Epstein anymore. We don't have to support wicked individuals like Trump or Biden or Obama or any of them wicked government ass officials if people just went back to the basics. And we don't depend on this system to basically, you know, rather we eat, rather we clothe ourselves, down to rather we wipe our asses or not, we dependent on these corporations. People blew their minds when they couldn't have access to toilet paper during the pandemic. People fighting over toilet paper to wipe their ass. We can't even wipe our ass without the corporations. That's how much that's how much power they got over us. And the people that's behind these corporations are people like Epstein, Bill fucking Gates. Crooks, criminals, thieves, rapists, murderers. The worst we paying taxes to, and we supporting their businesses and their infrastructure. We're in bondage. We're in bondage to vampires. We're in bondage to vampires until majority of us go back to the basics and learn shit again. And they trying to stop that just by the way they structure in society. They structure in society with all these fucking suburban areas, all these cities, all these apartment complexes, all these business districts, all these fucking malls and complexes and all this shit that they got going on. So people don't have access to land to do your own shit on, because you need land. First, in order for you to even do anything to be separate from them, you need to have your own land and how to use that land. You got to know how to cultivate on that land. You got to know how to build on that land. That's the thing. And they're removing that skill from society. The general public is losing that skill.
Yeah, he ain't with no.
So we're in bondage.
That was more so goddamn money laundering, moving money around. They used the lottery system to basically move money around. It's
and then you had these lazy religious folks thinking that Jesus is going to come back and do and help them. That ain't happening. You got to help yourself first. Cowards don't make it. Cowards don't make it nowhere. Not on earth or to heaven.
Right.
Yeah,
God give you the tools to
cowardly.
basically. God give you the tools to save yourself. That's what He give
Exactly.
you. You have to tap into that power, the knowledge and the wisdom. You have to tap into that yourself. That's not something that's just. It's already there. You just have to tap
Right.
into it. So it's something that was already embedded in us when we was created. That knowledge and wisdom is always there. It's about you tapping into it. God already gave us the tools already. So if you sitting
Right.
back
You
waiting on
got
God
people
to
who's
do something
lazy who
for you,
want to just use
yeah,
that.
yeah, you can't. Yeah, He already gave us everything we needed. It's up to you to use that. If you still waiting on God to save you, you got to get that out of your mind. He already saved you by giving you the tools to use to save yourself.
And
Simple and
then if
plain.
you talking from the spiritual aspect, God ain't saving shit physical. So if
That's
you
the
expecting me to
thing,
come there,
right?
it ain't giving
Because
you physically.
right, spiritually, we already have the tool. Everything is already embedded in us already. We already have everything is already there. So God don't really have to step in and do anything because He already planted that seed already. He already planted that already. So it's up to you.
To act on it.
It's up to you to actually tap into that. You know what I'm saying? And that's
We
what
just
people
keep
don't get.
they can do
People
whatever
don't.
they want here and then say, oh, God is gonna come break it
Yeah,
all
nah,
up.
that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You have to have the know about. It's up to you to actually search and do the work. Have to know about and actually. And with that comes wisdom. With that, understanding, that's how you get the wisdom to, when you got to have the knowledge first and then knowing what to do with that knowledge.
But they don't only just say that, they also persecute the people who's trying to separate from this system.
Well, that's an
They
automatic
they
thing
persecute
because
the
you have
people.
certain, because you have to understand those the people that's not aware yet. So they're going to resist anything that has to do with, separating from the system because they
Nah, these are
don't
the
have to.
people who are aware of what's going on. No, I'm talking about the people who are aware of what's going on, but they just be lazy about it and say, "Oh well, God will come save us."
That
Like,
ain't how it works.
and then
Right.
when someone actually take action and try to separate themselves from this wicked system in some type of way, they get persecuted by the same people who say God is going to save them. I mean, that's what makes this place even worse. That's what makes this place even
Well,
worse. Like, yo, that's crazy. The thing is, we don't realize how deep the brainwashing is from the structure that we was born in.
yeah.
That's the
Well,
problem. We don't realize even the people who have woken up and is aware of a lot of the corruption that's going on, it's still
yeah.
not understanding how brainwashed we still are, even after waking up.
Well,
That a lot of
well,
this,
I mean, well, if you born into it, then it's you're not going to completely be, because you in it, you living in it, so
yep.
you can separate yourself spiritually in your mind and in your heart, but you still, being though you in this physical form, you still got to partake in what comes along with being in the physical form, regardless.
And
It's
that's the
something
point
that
of living
I
in
mean,
it, but not being
right,
of it.
not being
Live
of
in the
it.
world, but not of the world.
Yeah, yeah, because you could be living in the world, but spiritually and heart wise, you somewhere else. Mentally, spiritually, you somewhere else. But you still have to, you know, you have to do whatever comes along with being in the physical form. That's something we can't escape until death. Death is how we escape all this shit completely. You know what I'm saying? Death is the only way to escape this. People look at death as a bad thing. Death is actually a great thing.
Right.
That's the only way you can be free from the physical form is through death. Like, people don't understand that though. That's why people fear death, because they listen too much into the religion. And religion is what keeps people in fear. Oh, you're gonna go to hell if you do this, you're gonna go to hell if you do that. And that keeps people in fear. But people don't realize the ancients understood that death was the only way that could free you from any type of bondage, any type of suffering was death. They encouraged it. Not in the way of taking yourself out, but of a way of just accepting what is.
Well, death is everybody's fate on the planet.
Yeah. So
But the
Basically,
point is, we trying to make is everybody's supposed to make each other comfortable before the death.
yeah,
Because we
right,
all on our
right.
deathbeds. Because you don't
Yeah, yeah,
know
yeah.
if it's your day tomorrow. We focused on like if it's a cancer patient or somebody would say we gotta make them comfortable before they
Yeah,
go. But
right,
we need
right,
to be
right,
doing
right.
that for all of us.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Everybody need
yeah.
to be
That's what
doing
I
that for
right.
each other. We in our mindset we think we only supposed to be doing that for cancer patients and people that's going to die for sure. But the
Yeah, yeah.
point is we're all going to die for sure because you could die before that cancer patient do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
That's
that's
just
so
about
our
this.
objective is we don't want people to suffer before they die. So only reason to make this a better place to live so we can make each other comfortable before we go out. That's all we got
right.
here. That's
I
all we
think
got
this
on
way.
Earth. That's all we got on Earth, to tell you the
I
truth.
mean,
So why do we treat each other like shit? That's
I
like so
think
when you
I
treat
think
somebody
because
like
this
shit, it's
place.
like you're treating a. Hold on, let me make this point real quick. When you treat somebody, like, we all know you're not supposed to talk bad about a cancer patient or somebody because they're about to die, but
Right,
we're
right,
all
right.
about to die. Like everybody. Why everybody can't be treated like a cancer patient with the same respect you would treat a cancer patient, making them the most comfortable as you can before they die. So why shouldn't we? Why don't we think like that for everybody on the planet? Because it don't matter how old you are, or how young you are. Tomorrow could be your day. No matter how healthy you are or how sick you are, tomorrow could be your day. So since we all know this, why don't we make it more comfortable for each other on the planet? I mean, that's a mindset that I know this world is not ready
Yeah,
for.
that's not. Yeah, that's not.
So
I'm about
we're
to
gonna
say
have
this
to
is not
keep
that
going
place.
through hell and keep having
Well,
people like
yeah.
Epstein rule over everything until the end.
Well, this is the place where the suffering dwells at. It's this place where we on is called Earth. This is the place where the suffering dwell at anyway. So if you understand spirituality, then you understand this is the place for the suffering. This is the hell that we live in. This is where we feel everything, the sickness, everything we go through that we can actually physically feel, and everything that we feel within our soul and in our that's in our hearts and our minds. This is the place of suffering. Earth is the place of suffering. So
why not make it comfortable for each other?
So it's like being in a jail cell. Yeah, it's like being in prison and all the prisoners trying to get along with each other inside prison to make the prison a better system. This prison is filled with murderers, scammers, rapists, pedophiles, and so where's the good going to come out in that? Where's the good going to come out in that? I think once you understand as an individual, then you're able to project that outwardly. So there's a lot of people that's fucked up within themselves. And once you understand that, and you could conquer, the darkness and light within yourself, then that could project outwardly. But for right now, this world is not on that. This world is what it is. What we see in this world now is. That's what the fuck this shit is. All the pain and suffering that humans go through in this world, this is the place for that. When they talk about the fall from grace, the fall from God, and those who fell from heaven, we're the motherfuckers that fell from heaven into these physical ass bodies where we feel everything. Where we feel the burning, the pain, the suffering, the sickness, and all the shit that we go through.
The pain, the gnashing of teeth, right?
The gnashing of teeth. This is the physical plane of where, this is the place where we supposed to feel and go through hell. This is the hell we going through. Because in the spiritual realm, you're not going to go through any of this in the spiritual form. That don't make any sense. You would have to be put inside something physical to actually feel the gnashing of the teeth and the burning. You have to be put into a physical body to feel that shit.
Right.
You're not gonna feel that in the spiritual form.
Nope.
That's what people don't understand. We going through the hell right now.
He might not even have teeth to even gnash
people don't understand we're going through the hellfire now. Being in these physical bodies and suffering in these physical bodies. Yes.
To think that you suffer more after you die.
It's crazy.
Because you was bombarded with shit that's considered sin or whatever. You bombarded with it 24/7 and you're suffering. Yeah, maybe you're trying to avoid the shit.
Right.
But if you ain't do it good enough, you die here and you go into even more suffering. That
don't make sense.
That's a terrible existence.
Yeah, that's a
Like
terrible
if you think from that mindset, that's a terrible existence.
And I mean,
terrible existence.
If you think that's, you know, that's what God intended for us to suffer forever, and in that type of condition, then that's not a loving God.
And you're not only suffering there forever, you're suffering here before you even get to the suffering forever.
Right.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah, that don't make sense. That just don't make sense.
That is dark. That is deep and dark.
Yeah, that don't make
darkest.
sense.
That is deep and dark. That's some of the biggest witchcraft that's been placed on us.
Yeah, that don't make sense to go from
deep and dark.
From suffering in the physical form to suffering in the spiritual form. That don't make sense.
So it means your whole existence you just suffered.
Right.
Non-stop. Just non-stop.
Yeah. Nah, the lake of fire is this physical existence that we in. That's the fire that we're suffering from. Like,
and it burns forever because everything deteriorates, and a form of
everything
deterioration
dies.
is fire.
Yeah, everything dies.
Realm, the physical realm is the eternal hell. And your soul could come here and keep coming back here non-stop. This is the eternal hell. Because everything rusts here, everything deteriorates. That's a fire. It's burnt in a fire. They even said in the human body, glycation. When your cells are starting to glycate, that's a form of burning.
Yeah.
Like, and they're degenerating. Like, they burn up and basically return back to nature. So you getting old, your skin sagging, that's glycation.
Yeah, it don't make no sense.
Glycation is the same thing as rust, which is the same thing as fire. When a fire degrades stuff back into ashes again.
Why would the spiritual realm be the suffering realm?
That's why everything goes back to the ashes. But listen, that's why everything goes back to the ashes on Earth, because it's a realm of burning, non-stop burning. That's why everything becomes ash again.
From the dust we come, from the dust we return, right?
That's eternal fire.
Yeah.
Shit that keep turning everything into ashes, that's eternal fire.
Yeah,
and
people don't understand that.
Will always exist. The physical realm is eternity.
You're not going to turn into ash in the spiritual realm. Spiritual realm is for the living. Physical form is for the death. That don't make sense to go from death to death, from death to death again. That don't make sense. That's not even following the universal laws. To go from death to death. Oh, you dying to die some more. That don't make sense.
From death to life, from life to death.
Yeah, from life to death, right.
Life to death. Just like it go from night to morning, from morning to night. And
right.
It don't go like from death to death. Yeah, that's some bullshit.
Yeah, that don't make sense.
That's why the second death don't make sense for anyone. You're already in a realm. Once you're in the physical realm, you're already in a realm of death.
The first death,
dying. That's why we saying. That's why we was telling y'all at the beginning of the stream. Dying in this realm is necessary. It's a good thing. Because you're dying from this death realm and moving into a life realm.
Right.
The death realm has always been known as Hades throughout history, biblical history, and before.
Right. Hades, yeah.
Hades has always been known. The physical world has always been known as Hades.
Even in the scriptures, it mentions Hades is the grave. Mentions the grave. Sheol,
right?
And Sheol,
and that's what we're in currently right
Sheol
now.
Is the grave that represents dead. That's what this earth plane represents. Sheol.
It's death because everything dies here.
You don't die in the spiritual realm. To die in the spiritual realm is to come to the physical form. That makes sense.
And that's not even dying. That's a form of sleep.
Right, dormant.
Because you don't ever die in the spiritual realm. You're when you come here, you're in a
dormant.
Sleep. That's why Adam. That's why it says Adam got put to sleep. Because the only way you could even get to this realm, your soul self have to go to sleep. When you go to sleep, you wake up in Hades.
And this is where we do.
And sleep is the cousin of death.
We fell asleep and woke up in this place right here called Earth, which is the Sheol, the grave, the hell realm.
And there's two parts to a dream. We're in a death dream realm right now. We're still asleep. We're in a death dream realm right now. We're still
dormant
asleep. And there's two parts to a dream. You can have a good dream or you can have a nightmare. People like Epstein and them represents the nightmare.
Right.
People who come here and make life better for other people is considered the good dream. You know, I love that dream. I wish I didn't have to wake up from that dream. So there's two parts to a dream also. And that's what we're in right now. This hell realm that we in is a dream world. That's why it's temporary. Nobody can dispute this because it's temporary. You know this world is temporary. You know your life here is temporary. Just like when you're in a dream state, when you're sleeping, that's temporary. Eventually, you're going to wake up.
Facts.
So nobody can dispute this. It's not. We don't think about this stuff. We don't think about this stuff. And when somebody's sleeping, you want them to be as comfortable as possible. Because most people think because you're spiritual, you have to suffer here. Like that's what comes with Earth. Like, no, that's not what have to come with Earth. You don't have to suffer here. Just like a person on a deathbed don't have to suffer. You do things to make them comfortable until they're gone.
Yeah, it's like going to prison. You don't have to be in prison and suffer in prison. You can still go to prison and still make still be rehabilitated without all the inhumane things that take place in prison, like living in filthy conditions and all that. You don't have
the government create those.
Well, we know that.
They wanted to be like that.
Right, but it don't have to be that, and that's the bigger picture we saying. It don't have to be like that. Even though
Earth don't have to be like that.
Yeah,
Earth don't have to be like that. It doesn't.
Even if it's a place of sentencing, which I look at this place like just as a temporary place of sentencing.
Exactly. And we're supposed to make ourselves as comfortable as possible until we transition. Not come here to fucking suffer.
Yeah,
people say we do that to learn lessons and all. What lessons do you really need to do? The same shit going on over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, well, you would still look at this place as a place of
over and over again.
It's supposed to be a place of experience too, as well. So,
well, I guess you don't got a choice.
Yeah,
you ain't got a choice but to experience it.
Yeah, you're going to experience. Like if you was to go to a physical form where everything is, basically utopia. You know what I'm saying? Then what would be the point to go there? If it's already
fuck that, I want the utopia.
Listen.
What you talking
but
about?
I don't. But I'm saying in the physical form. No, I'm saying in the physical form to go. But in the physical form, for you to be in a place of utopia, what would you really learn in the physical form being in a place of utopia?
I don't want to learn the shit that you have to learn in the physical. I'd rather stay in a utopia. That's what I learned. That's what I learned from being in this bullshit. That I'd rather be in a utopia.
Right.
That's my final lesson right there. I don't know about
so
anybody
go
else,
through the,
but my final lesson is a utopia is way better than coming down here to suffer.
I mean,
to learn what lesson? If you're living in a utopia, what lessons do you need to learn?
But the point I'm saying is this place
if you're already living in a utopia, what lessons do you need to learn?
Yeah, but I'm saying I mean when you understand that if you understand at a higher understanding that we fell, the fall. This is part of the fall of falling from the grace of God is the fall into this physical form to suffer from that comes along with being in the physical form.
But all you learn from suffering is that you don't want to suffer anymore.
That exactly, and that's the point. You don't want to come back here for that. That's the point we make it. You want to learn the lessons to take with you.
So why the fuck
you won't have to repeat?
Why would you want to leave the utopia anyway?
It's the same thing. No, the thing it is, we didn't leave utopia. We fell into this place because we fell from the
we fell asleep.
We fell asleep. Right. So you gotta think about it. It's like you going to school and you didn't pass.
The point that I'm making is when you fall asleep in your dream.
You don't pass first grade, you got to repeat it over again because you didn't learn.
But listen though. Let's go back to the fail part though.
I'm saying
if you fall in, you don't want to. If you fall into sleep, you don't want to fall asleep and have a nightmare. You rather fall asleep and have a good dream. What the fuck did you learn from the nightmare?
But the point of
there's no lessons to be learned from the nightmare except that you don't want to be in another nightmare.
But see, that's when duality comes in because there's two sides to things. That's why we're here. We're not in the being in the spiritual realm. There's no two separate sides. There's no separation.
And we all supposed to have free will. So we supposed to choose.
The thing about
which side we want. You want to be in the darkness or you will be in the light. You want to be in a dystopia or you want to be in a utopia. I'd rather be in a utopia.
Choose your lessons. I like what Dina said. Yup, you choose your lessons.
How
Like
the
you
fuck
just
we
said.
choose our lessons? What about the person
Well,
who
well,
was brought up
listen.
in the household from a baby being molested since a baby? They chose that lesson. That's a hard. Like I'm asking this for people who might have that mindset. Like somebody who actually grew up in
No,
the house,
I don't think they chose. Yeah,
where they
I
were
don't think
being
they chose
abused,
that. But
and where they were being abused and molested the whole time growing up by their own parents or own siblings or
I don't
aunts or
think they
uncles.
chose that.
Like
But
think about those people.
yeah,
Like those people, and they wasn't able to break away because they were just kids. So you'll say to them, you chose that as to learn a lesson from that. That would be crazy to tell somebody that.
I mean,
Like we gotta start being mindful of this shit that we say sometimes.
But the fact
I'm
is,
growing from even because back then I was thinking like just a couple years ago I was thinking
the
like
fact
that, like
is,
we chose our own lessons and all this
whatever
shit.
was
I
put
don't,
in
I
your,
don't believe that 100%.
whatever happened in your life through your physical firm is for the lesson for you, for your learning and your understanding, regardless. Because we look at things from a humanistic mind, be like, oh, that's fucked up. But to the spiritual realm, you got to understand it from the spiritual aspect of this shit and why it's happening. See, we look at it from a humanistic point, be like, yeah,
but
that's
we're blind. We're not 100%. We're not
whatever.
100% open to the spiritual. We're not
Yeah, but
100% open to the spiritual realm though. So we don't.
Yeah,
we
but
can't,
whatever
we can't
whatever
say
we're
whether it's
going
good
through,
for the spirit or not.
but whatever we going through in the physical form, no matter how fucked up it is, it's for us. It's whatever was put in our journey that was for us to go through.
Now, when people say that we chose our parents, and chose our experience, how could we know that's fact? How could we know that's fact? Like, do you remember before you were born here to know that you made a choice to choose whatever life you're in? Like, we can't. We don't know for sure. We don't know 100%. If anybody say you know 100%, you a lie. Like, how could we know 100% that we chose? Like the person who was molested from a kid on up, they chose that life before they came to this planet. How could we say that for sure 100% that we knew that we chose this? Like nobody can actually say that shit and actually mean it 100%. Like you don't know that for sure. Unless there's people that know shit that nobody else knows. Like how do you know that for sure?
Like predestined.
But how could you have if everything is free will, how is there such thing as predestiny? That means that you could change that predestiny up at any time because you got free will. Like nobody can really debate this unless you got 100% fact to back that up. Like we say that we come here we come to Earth to learn lessons. How do we know that for sure? How do we know that? How are we 100% sure of that? Because all I see is a loop of the same fucking lessons that need to be learned 100%. But even people who learn a lesson still getting their ass handed to them. So how do you even?
I believe.
So how do you know that's the truth?
Well, I mean, to be put in a physical body is to suffer, bro. I don't care, because if you understand spiritually, going from a spiritual being put in a physical body where you can feel sickness and all that shit, that's a sentence.
Right.
That's a sentence.
How is that a lesson? But how is that a lesson though?
That's a sentence.
Yeah. So how is that a lesson?
But it's also a lesson at the same time because you learn.
How do you know that's the case?
Because you learn not to do that shit again. Same.
But
like
how do you know that? But
you get
listen,
burnt.
how do
You
you
get
know
burnt by a burnt stove. Listen, once you get burnt by that burnt stove, you know you can't touch that motherfucker again. Now, if you deliberately put your hand on there, then you wanted to get burnt. You see what I'm saying? Just look at the analogy in that you touch your hand touched the stove, your fucking skin down there got burnt.
But you don't know that.
You know not. You don't know not to touch. That's what I'm saying. You don't know nothing until you actually going through it. Then you know not to do that shit again. You're like, all right, well, this is the lessons that I learned, so I won't have to repeat this shit again. You see what I'm saying? I don't think it's predestined. I don't think that neither. A lot, some people believe this shit is predestined. Nah, I think whatever happens in your life, in your lifetime, is for you to learn not to do that shit again to come back here and repeat it again.
But
You
the
see what I'm
thing
saying?
is, what did you learn a lesson when somebody is an aggressor against you? Like,
You
got
learn.
two forms of the
Listen,
same thing.
you learn not to be that person that was aggressive against you. Basically, you learning not to be that person. You see what I'm saying? That's what you learning from it. You learning not to be like the person that was aggressor against you. You understand what it's like to be aggressed against. So now you're
Well,
not going to want to be.
that's
You're not going
foolishness
to want to be
subject.
aggressive to the next person because you know what it feels like to be aggressed against. You see what I'm saying?
So go out to get punched in your face, so you know you don't like being punched in the face, so you don't punch somebody else in the face, basically.
Yeah, basically. but then your human self is going to want to react and punch that person back in the face. That's just what, you know what I mean? That's just going, that's just what happens.
Bro, we got to stop.
You know what I mean?
Because
yeah, and to learn
there's
empathy,
a lot of people
right. That's
born,
another thing too. To learn empathy, yeah, it's certain things that
there's
comes
a lot
along
of
with
people
it
who's
too.
already born with that, and some people that's just not. That's what makes this place hell. Some people is already born with it, because you can have somebody who all the bad stuff happened to them, and they feel like that's how life is, and that's what they supposed to do, and they become the aggressor. Like, it's a lot of people.
I believe
like people in Hollywood, like some of the people who was groomed in Hollywood became groomers. You know what I mean? Like some of the child stars who was groomed in Hollywood, they grew up and they kept the same shit going on.
Right.
So how could you necessarily say it works like that? That a person,
that's
to learn to be like that. You might have a person who's born who's not like that.
That's up to the individual, though.
See, that's
what
I'm saying.
Free will. That's what free will sets in that.
That's why you would choose not to be. That's why you would choose not to if you're a person that's already not like that and then get exposed. Why would you need to be basically put in that situation to know you're not supposed to be like that? Because there's a lot of people that's born on the contrary to popular belief. There's a lot of people who was born on this planet who knows right from wrong, who know what they don't want done to them, they ain't going to do to others. They don't have to be placed in that situation to know that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we gotta start getting back to the common sense of thing. Everybody's not born like most people who's born know you're not supposed to go around raping people.
Right.
Come on, bro. Like, come on. Oh, so it had to be done to you, so you learn not to rape people. Like, let's start making common sense out of this shit.
Being as though that this place is a place where all this shit take place at it's going to be.
My point. What if the person who knows
it's going to be in someone's journey to go through all the shit that takes place?
So what's the lessons that need to be there for that person?
Somebody's going to go through it.
I'm asking a question though. Like, what's the lesson that person needed to learn? A person who's already born with a moral compass inside that know you're not supposed to go around raping people, and they get raped. So what was the lesson that person needed to learn? Now I made it easier for everybody to see the point that I'm coming from. What lesson did that person need to learn? A person who already knew that you're not supposed to rape people got raped. Because you said basically, oh, they needed to learn that so they know not to do it too. But the world don't work like that. The world don't work like that though.
Well, whatever was placed.
Not in no world it works like that.
The thing about it is, being as though that this place is a place of suffering, someone's bound to go through that. For whatever was put in their path.
Yeah, but my point is, what lesson needs to be learned from that?
Whatever their journey was that they would have to go through, that is only for that person's understanding. Because as an individual, we come down here individually, regardless of we being born, from our parents and our, everyone here is on a individual spiritual journey. So
my point is, this place,
whatever happened in your path is for you and for you only. It's for you and for your understanding of why this happened to me only. You see what I'm saying? It's not for everyone. It's not because at the end of the day, you're the one that's that's going through it. No one is going through it for you.
But the point that I'm making at this point, this proves that this place ain't here to teach no lessons. This ain't that type of place. I think it's all the above. I think
to teach lessons. It's a place of you know, not only just a place of suffering, but a place of learning and understanding as well. To actually be put into a physical body, what would be the point of that? What would be the point of that? Like I said from the beginning, the
point of that could be a capture.
Yeah,
if being used.
That's what I was about to say.
Food source.
This place here is a place of sentencing. I believe so.
Basically,
we fell from a spiritual realm into a physical body. That's a sentence.
I feel like this is a place for energy harvesting. I think the lesson stuff is bullshit. I think this planet is here for energy harvesting off our souls.
Yeah, that's
like this planet simulates situations that extract energies from us.
Right.
Because I honestly believe we were captured and placed here. Yeah. The people who's naturally good-hearted, the people who naturally like pure in heart, who see the wickedness of the world and all. I feel like people like us been captured here.
That's what I'm saying. Sentence. That's what I'm saying. That's what
not sentence. That's different. Sentence is being that you did something wrong to end up here. Captured, on the other hand, which is what does happen in reality.
Yeah. Right.
Captured and used as an energy source. Used as a food.
So it goes back to the bond
or evil
and bondage. So it goes back to the bond age.
Goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of the stream about Epstein in this game.
Bondage.
They're vampires. They're into energy harvesting. And entities that got us here, that's why we forget. Because you can't learn no lessons if you forget.
Yeah, forget shit.
Once you're in a human. Because when you're in a human body, you don't remember shit. You don't remember where you came from or where you going. That means you were hit over the head, you're unconscious, and somebody got you. And you're constantly living, living bullshit experience where you constantly getting scanned and something's constantly feeding off your energy. We were captured and put here. I don't think we were sent.
So it basically goes back to the Matrix where encapsulated.
There you go.
Encapsulated into a cell.
There you go.
And basically energy harvesting off the energy of that soul. That's capsulated. Because you gotta understand, like, why would you a spiritual energy be put encapsulated into a physical body? What would be the purpose of that? What would be the purpose of that? You know what I'm saying? So
that's why you give less energy to bullshit that just don't fit you, that just don't serve you. You give less energy to it. Because if you're here for energy harvesting, that means something is feeding off your energy, so you can't use the energy for yourself.
So when the scriptures talk about bondage, being in the bond age, because when it talks about being in the Hebrews being in a captivity of Egypt, and now you gotta have to take that to a spiritual sense, not just the physical form. What would be the purpose of putting people in the bondage? Well, the Egyptians supposedly had used the energy of the Hebrews to basically build civilization.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So what would be the point of
that happened spiritually also?
Yeah. So what would be the point of an Adam and Eve, populating the planet? Populating a planet of people to basically generate energy.
Right.
Because what would be the point of that? What would be the purpose of humans serving on a planet like this? It would have to be, energy involved, right?
Well, this is my take on it. If there's vampires below, there's vampires above.
Yeah, as above,
even
below,
the scriptures say that wickedness in high places.
Yeah, right.
It's spiritual, spiritual principalities, wickedness in high places.
Right.
It's talking about spiritual realm, wickedness, and physical realm. Yeah.
Right.
So if there's energy vampires here, you don't think there's spiritual energy?
Well, everything falls. Yeah, everything falls from the.
That does the same activities that Epstein do, but on a spiritual and energetic level.
Yeah. This planet is a mirror. It's just a mirror of the spiritual realm anyway.
Right.
going down, let's create man in our image. Image is a mirror effect. So that would actually, this planet would just represent something in the spiritual realm because it's an image. It's a mirror effect. So yeah, as above, it will be the same below will be above. Wickedness in high places, and because that this will just be the physical representation of that anyway, like a metaphor. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if it's demons and wickedness on the planet, of course it's demons and wickedness in the spiritual realm. You can't have one without the other.
So
anyway,
if that's happening, that means that this planet could just be not a place for lessons, but a place where we held bondage at by the wickedness above.
There you go.
And our energy is being harvested.
There you go.
Our soul energy is being harvested.
And they kind of made, they kind of in the Matrix. They kind of put that in the Matrix when you seen all the humans inside these pods and shit, and the artificial intelligence was basically feeding off humans.
Right.
In that, if you watch if y'all that seen the Matrix, y'all seen that when they had all the humans in a pod and they was feeding off the humans.
Right.
The artificial intelligence was. So they kind of made that that reference to that in the Matrix, which was actually written by Sophia Stewart.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it wasn't the Wachowskis, the Sophia Stewart, because she understood from a spiritual aspect what the hell she was writing. That was written by the black lady, Sophia Stewart. Let's just get it out the way now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that you said what you playing in the background. Yeah, that's the an AI video of them, the shit that they into, the rituals and all that. Yeah, that's the rituals and all that shit they into.
And basically what the Matrix was telling us, AI was basically doing to us what we did to them and what we do to each other. Use each other for energy.
Right.
Because you got to think about it. Even our cities that we got is set up like a circuit board. And people give their energy into those cities to keep the corporations running.
Yeah.
Like, you got to think like that. Like, that's the metaphysics behind all this shit. Like, everything is literally set up like a circuit board. If you see, and what powers the circuit board, the energy that's going through it, which is the human soul.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is more of a plantation. That's why they call it a planet. Because we're on a plantation right now. We're slaves. We're in bondage. We're enslaved here spiritually. We're enslaved to Earth right now.
Yeah, that's what the bondage represents.
And our energy is being harvested.
Yeah, people don't understand. People don't understand that. Well, the scriptures actually.
There's no lesson that needs to be learned.
All the scriptures actually point towards that anyway. When it talks about being in bondage, for a certain amount of years or whatever. Even in Revelations, it speaks about being in bondage for 1,000 years and all this shit like that. That's what that bondage represents. Us being encapsulated inside these physical bodies, inside this physical form. Yeah, that's what the bond age. When it talks about bondage, if you put those two words together, it's bond age. That's the age we are. We in the age of bondage, where we're bound to these physical bodies. That's all that's the highest representative of that. That we're bonded to these physical bodies. Us being taken from a physical, spiritual form and bonded to these physical bodies. That's the bond age that we in.
And a metaphysical example of that is how they say we was living like gods in Africa, living free until they came and colonized us and basically took us over and enslaved and put us in bondage. That would be like the soul was living good, chilling in the spiritual realm, not having to worry in the world, and it's utopia. And then some entities come and basically capture you and throw your ass into some type of plantation. Now where all the energy that you're doing, you're working for them.
Yeah, that's all slavery represents. Yeah, that's all physical slavery represents, is that because you gotta realize that
what lessons need to be learned out of that? Like there's everything is not a school with
we don't want to be
operate.
We don't want to enslave. We don't want to take and enslave people and put them in bondage. You see what I'm saying? Us that been put in bondage, we don't want to become those people that want to put other people in bondage. You see what I'm saying? Because we know what it feels like to be in bondage. So we don't want to.
What about the people who naturally? What about the people who get thrown into bondage who naturally already knew from the beginning that you're not supposed to throw people in bondage? What would be their lesson that they need to learn?
Don't become like the people that put you in bondage.
Oh, hell nah, nigga. They already know.
No, but you got to think about it. Being as though we have free will, we have the free will to change as well. You can go from being
that's true.
You can go, you can always go from being
a lot of times it's
spiritual.
Yeah, you can bondage.
You always
like that before. They get corrupted.
Yeah, you could. That's what I'm saying. You could easily be corrupted and you could change.
Well, that's not. Well, it's better for that person not to learn that lesson at all.
We all have wickedness. We all have goodness, wickedness inside of us. Yeah, so we have
that person was fine before the lesson, though. It was fine before. It would be like no lesson.
Yeah, so that's what.
If it ain't don't fix it. If they already was born with the moral compass inside to know you're not supposed to bondage people and rape them and all this type, if you was already born with that mindset, knowing you're not supposed to do that, then that person is already good. What lesson do they need to learn from that?
But you can be turned at any time. That's what I'm saying. You could turn and become that wickedness at any time because we all have.
That's like saying a person is guilty before they innocent. That's like saying a person is guilty before they innocent. Because it might not even be in that person's nature to ever turn like that. You can't really prosecute them until they actually commit the crime. You can't say, "Oh, one day he might."
I believe
in that person's heart or nature.
I believe. I'm gonna be honest. We all going to go through both. Like just like was mentioned that I'm the creator of the light and darkness. We all going to experience being what it's like to be wicked, and we're going to experience what it's like to be good. That's just what it is. If you're in existence for eternity, then you're going to experience both. You're going to experience what it's like to be wicked, and you're going to experience what it's like to be good. That's just what's going to happen. So you might play both roles. It might be a role you come to be wicked, and then there's going to be a role where you're going to be the good person. You're going to be the good soul. Yeah, we're going to experience all that shit. Because if both exist, then we're going to experience both. You can't have light without dark, dark without light. Like we're going to experience what it's like to be light, and we're going to experience.
So
like
it's my question: is, do we really have free will then?
I mean, yeah, actually, yeah, you still have I feel like.
So what if you? All right. So what if it was your will not to
because you got to think about how Satan came into play. He was supposed to be he was a good angel that turned dark, right? And I'm looking at it. And I'm not looking at Satan as just an individual. That's just like a mindset and a state of being, right?
Yeah,
that you was once good and then you turn wicked. You see what I'm saying?
Mindset.
Yeah,
it's definitely a mindset.
Because they like to bounce Satan down to just this one entity. Like nobody else could be Satan, but just the one entity. Nah, that's represent.
Technically, the word Satan, if you look it up, the Greek and everything, it just means accuser.
Yeah, right.
Somebody that goes around and accuses. So what does that even mean? The Satan thing. What does that even mean?
Yeah, so I believe that we're going to experience
that it's about the accuser, because all Satan was doing was just walking up and down the planet accusing people. He was known as the accuser. So what does that have to do? So that's another thing. What does that have to do with anything that we're talking about? The accuser. Because that's what Satan means if we're talking about Satan.
Yeah.
Satan is known as the accuser.
Fucking accuser. Accuser of the brethren. Like an accuser of the.
That's what that means.
Accuser of the brethren. Fucking accuser. You say I feel like you going to hell. It's my false information. Nah, it ain't no false information.
I did. Every time people have a stream about thought provocative stuff, it
ain't a place of
here talking about eating ass out. We was up here talking about eating ass out and who's cheating with who and who's doing that. It would be, you know what I mean? That's the type of shit that people be into. Well, I mean, we having a conversation that have people think.
Actually,
not from a
brain deeper level. Yeah, think it on a deeper level than with and it's just having an understanding, like, and that's what you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have a thought provoking. Especially if you're a person about truth, you're supposed to have these deep thought provoking conversations and shit.
And we telling y'all you're in hell now. You're not going. What hell are you going to? You're already in it. The physical realm represents hell.
Yeah, because if you're a spiritual being, how you going to burn? Yeah, how you going to burn as a spiritual light being? You already right. Your spiritual self is already the fire. So how you going to be able to be burnt in the spiritual realm? That don't make sense.
Hell is supposed to be a place that burns for eternal, and it's dark, right?
Yeah.
The dark eternal fire. That's Earth, because you're completely in the dark when you're on Earth, because you don't know shit here. Like, we don't know where we came from and where we going. We just gotta have blind faith. That's darkness. The fire is the constant fucking bullshit that we have to deal with every day, and plus the fact that everything on this planet is constantly burning up. Whether it's through rust, whether it's through glycation, like everything is.
We go back to dust. We go back to ash.
Everything go back to ashes, and in the fire, everything turns into ashes. So we're technically in hell, in the hell realm right now. We're in Hades right now. We are in hell right now. You gotta remember, even Jesus went to Hades for 3 days, and they ain't talking about 3 days like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Days in that spiritual aspect is different than the days that we're taught Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Nah.
3 days. Remember, you went to Hades for 3 days.
The belly.
That's in a physical, which means he was in a physical existence.
We in the belly of the beast.
Physical.
That's what the Matrix represents. The belly of the beast.
Is hell. It's Hades. Always has been. It always has been.
We're in the belly of the beast.
And this place is eternal.
Like Jonah was in the well for 3 days. Just represents being in the belly of the beast. That's what we're in. We're in the belly of the Matrix. That's what the Matrix represents. Matrix represents.
We here.
A
those of us who know what's going on. We here 3 days.
So
3 great days, 3 lifetimes. We here.
I mean, then you can go by the scriptures, the very scriptures that y'all read.
3 lifetimes we here.
Jesus being in the tomb for 3 days. Jonah being in the belly of the well.
We out here 3 days, y'all. That's 3 lifetimes.
That's just what it represents.
For those catching this, 3 lifetimes. We out. Bada boom, bada bang.
I mean, you just go by the scriptures. You can go by the scriptures alone. The scriptures, the very scriptures that y'all read, that y'all go by, and you can see the same representation of what we're speaking about when it talks about being in the belly of the beast for 3 days. Jonah in the well, swallowed by the well, being in the belly of the well for 3 days. Jesus being in the tomb for 3 days. That's just what
our souls being on earth for 3 days, which is 3 lifetimes, but whatever.
Right.
We can continue.
So we're not saying anything that's far-fetched. It's just, different aspects of representing that metaphor or whatever.
And that's what it is, metaphysics. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because when you died back then, they wrapped you in bandages. But when you died spiritually, you wrapped in bondages. You wrapped in bondages.
You said Trump. You said Trump said he's going to hell.
This is crazy. Trump blew up an elementary school and he don't feel not a bit bad about it.
He blew up an elementary school.
He tried to deny it. He tried to deny it at first until his own team told him, "Yeah, we blew up. It was us who blew up that elementary school." And then he's like, "Oh well, these type things happen."
That's what he said.
He don't give a shit. Yeah, he don't give a shit that he blew up that elementary school. Yes. He don't give a shit that he blew up that elementary school.
God dang.
What lessons need to be learned from that? Like, that's the point. This place ain't just for no fucking lessons, man. This ain't no school for lessons. This some shit that's happening because wickedness in high places. Because even
wickedness in high places.
Right. Because just think about it. Elementary school kids, kids represent innocence.
Yeah, yeah,
This
it
man
does.
blew up a whole damn school of
Do
innocent
not,
children,
all right, do not
and
touch
then
my children.
don't give a shit
Do
about it.
not do my children no harm. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, yeah, man, you know this.
What lesson need to be learned out of that shit?
Jeez.
Like, there's no lesson behind that. Behind those parents' hearts grieving over their kids like that. It's just been blown up because Trump ordered it for Israel.
Wow.
And the people who move the money around, people like Epstein move the money around to make things like that happen. You know they ain't gonna care about no kids. Think about it. The type shit they do with those rituals.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they ain't gonna give shit about that, bro. I ain't expecting
that's free will. That's free will, Isaiah.
Technically, it still is.
I mean, yeah, that's
regardless
free
of how
will.
you look at it, they chose the
free will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got free will. Yeah, nobody said the people ain't have free will. People have
God
free will to make
intervene with it.
decisions.
God don't intervene with it because to intervene with it is to, basically, control. And that's not how it works. Whatever takes place on this planet is going to take place on this goddamn planet, regardless.
Free will should be free will is the only pathway to freedom, but then that comes with that comes at a cost.
All right.
We have free will, but with certain things, we don't have free will with everything.
Right.
Because if it was some people's free will, some people want to live to 100 years old, but they end up dying in their 20s or 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
So free will is still limited here.
Yeah, free will is limited here.
Yeah, hell yeah. So there's no absolute. That's the thing I'm starting to realize about just the reality of everything. There's no absolute truth. There's no absolute truth in anything.
Well, the truth is,
that's because the universe is really chaotic. The world, the spiritual realm, and everything is really chaotic.
Yeah,
and it's
chaos.
Up to the individual. It's up to the individual to make sense out of it, to patternize the chaos.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, everything is chaos.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's the observer, the one that creates pattern and creates the reality out of chaos. Because everything is just chaos, to tell you the truth. It literally is.
You said Trump deserves to
And
go
I'm
to
telling
hell.
you, it's hard to have free will and just chaos.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
People ain't really ready for these types of conversations. A lot of people still.
Well, there's one that was necessary to have today. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of things going on.
And my whole point of going this far into the conversation to point out the vampirism. I'm saying that Earth is a vampire system that extracts energy out of the soul, just like how vampires extract blood out of the neck. And these are the people that Epstein worked for, because these people that run this global network that Epstein worked with, they are all vampires. And I'm saying, like, this place is a plantation for energy harvesting. They use us for spare parts and energy harvesting. Our whole social structure is set up off of basically energy harvesting. You can't even survive on this planet without taking the energy from something else.
Right. That's how you know they have to die in order for something to live. Right.
Like,
something have to die in order for something to live.
It's literally a vampire type of system. Because in order for you to survive in this world, you have to either take from the earth to basically fuel yourself. So you got to always take from something to get something. That's vampirism. There's nothing that's really self-sustainable here. So we're already born into this system of vampirism. And these people are representations of that. That's why they run this world. That's why people like Epstein run this world. People who drink the blood of young kids and whatnot. That's why those type people run this world, because this the type world it is. We're in. Even humans gotta hunt to eat. Even humans gotta pull plant life out of the ground and kill the plant life to eat.
Right.
Even the animals gotta kill other animals to eat.
Something have to live, something have to die in order for something to live.
Right. That's a vampire-based system.
Yeah. This is the land. This ain't the land of the living. This is the land of the dead. You have to understand. The spiritual realm is the land of the living. Nothing dies. Nothing gets sick. Nothing goes hungry. Nothing suffers in the spiritual realm. So you have to understand what we're saying. Why this is the hell realm. The hell realm is for this, where you're going to suffer at. You're going to feel hunger. You're going to feel pain. You're going to feel fire, the gnashing of teeth, the burning, everything, hunger, sickness, everything.
But you'll
love,
feel
happiness.
Feel the hell a lot less if you're energy harvesting off someone else.
So when you're in the spiritual realm, you feel none of that. The scriptures even make a distinction between heaven and hell. They say heaven is the place for the living, where there's no hunger, no suffering, no pain, no anything. That's the spiritual realm. What's the opposite of that? Where do you feel all that shit at? On earth, right? On earth, right? So what would you be considered a hell realm? The place where the hunger, the suffering, the sickness, and everything else is at, right? This will be hell because you don't feel none of this shit in the spiritual realm. So, and that's just what it is, man. I don't even think even really need a further explanation. It is what it is.
That's the point that I'm making for the people that saying, "Oh, Earth is a school. We come here to learn a lesson and all that." No, we're here to get our energy harvested.
What universe.
We're here to get our energy harvested.
Universe represents uni one. You know what I mean? It represents the uni representing, the mass of the universe, when the verse representing just the rhythm to the uni. You see what I'm saying? So university is still a place of learning, because we still build worlds outside of this. You got to go to class to even learn how to build the world that you want to build. You still have to learn from something. So it's all still part of learning, whether we in bondage or not. We still learn. It's still something to learn in everything. It's a lesson in everything. That's another thing we have to understand. It's a lesson in everything, even in bondage. It's a lesson in bondage. It's a lesson in everything. We're in a school. We're in a university. We in a one big school. Everything is for learning purposes.
To have to suffer to learn a lesson is insane.
I mean, it happens though.
Nope.
It
don't happen. If you got free will, then you should be able to choose to learn without the suffering part.
Yeah, but we have free will to choose.
Why? But suffering ain't. Why
you gotta think about it though. People think free will meaning that you still don't have to abide by universal laws. Yeah, you have free will, but you still have to abide by these universal laws. You still can't break these universal laws regardless if you have free will or not. It's a consequence even for breaking universal laws. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, you have free will to choose whether you want to break that law or not. We're still governed by principalities and morals. We're still governed by certain things in place that we can't even break. You know what I'm saying? It's things we can't even, it's laws, universal laws that we can't even break. So yeah, we got free will, but it's still within the realm that's still, governed by a system. So anything out that goes against outside of that system is going to, face consequences. So that's all.
I agree with that.
Yeah, so we got free will. Like you said, free will is still a limitation. Like you said, it's still limitations to free will. You still, you got a free will to break the law. Just like now, we got a free will to break the law, but that don't mean we ain't gonna go to jail. Yeah, we break that law. We have free will to break the law, but we still gonna go to jail. We break that law.
Unless you the people that Epstein and was protecting, they don't got to go to jail.
Right.
See, you see what I'm saying? And that they got free will, and they basically said, "I'm not going to jail." See how that worked? So it's choosy. Free will, it chooses who gets to have free will and who don't.
Yeah, but it's still universal consequences that we still gotta
That's
that we
crazy.
still going. All right, so we might not see what the suffering
wild,
is for.
bro.
You might not see what the suffering is for that person, but that person know what the suffering is for that person. That's the one thing we gotta understand
Yeah, I
too.
agree with that.
Being an individual, a spiritual individual, you know what your suffering is for. You know what your consequences is going to be for whatever you did. You individually are going to feel that. You know what you're going to go through for that. It might not be for everybody else to see. So we might think they getting away with all this type of shit. Yeah, we might think in our minds, yeah, they're getting away with it, but in their minds, they not getting away with that shit. Because only they know what their suffering is
Somebody in
going to
the
be.
chat earlier said that we was delusional because we said this is a place of suffering.
Nah, this is a place of suffering, bro.
Because they said everybody
go without eating for a week and see what happens. Shit, go without eating or drinking water for 3 days and see how your body.
People do that all the time. It's called fasting.
Yeah, but I'm talking about completely no.
Great off fasting.
I'm talking about completely no water or food, no nothing. Your organs will start to shut down. So this is the place of suffering. This is the place where things die at.
Oh, here,
This is the death realm. This is the death realm that we live in now. This physical
said,
plane is the death realm.
This isn't a place of suffering. Not everyone is suffering. This guy is weird. You shouldn't.
If you think, like I said, you might not see the person suffering. Only they know what they're suffering from. See what I'm saying? It's not for everybody to know.
Even if
everybody
it's all fighting for some type of
everybody.
Some type of shit.
When the scripture talk about a thorn in it, everybody has a thorn in their side. Trust me.
Right.
It's not for everybody to know what that thorn is, though. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I'm saying. So, like we said, we might think that these people are getting away with everything. Yeah, to us, to our mindset, yeah, to what we see, they're getting away with everything, but to them, they might not be getting away with everything. But that's for them to know and for us not to know. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I agree with that. We just don't know.
Yeah, we just don't know.
We just don't know. And that's the point that I'm making here about the fact that this is hell because we in darkness, because we don't know. We are in darkness here. Like people
we're in dormant. Yeah, we sleeping in dormant. We in dormant right now.
Darkness on earth because we don't know where the fuck we came from or where we going. I don't care how much faith you have, you still not 100% sure.
Yeah, like 100% knowing. And I think it's done like that on purpose because if you know, then you know what would be the point to come here knowing everything. It would be no point. It won't be no point to come here and know everything.
That's a game.
Yeah,
that's a game to me.
That's like you turning on the game and you gonna pass the game straight off the bat. Like you're gonna float through the whole game without, you know what I mean? Like you know the game that you're in. Now, when you turn on that game system, you going through the game, you don't know what's gonna happen or anything. You're turning on the game unless you've seen it before. Then you know the pattern of the game. But if you just buy a game and you pop it in and you play the game, you don't know what the hell gonna happen. You see what I'm saying?
Unless you
played the game before. Right. So yeah, you going into this game on Earth and you don't know what's gonna happen.
But this is the point of complete darkness that we're in. As a human, we are in complete darkness.
Yeah.
We're blind. Every human on this planet is blind, and nobody can say that they're not. Because we do not know the absolute truth. I don't give a fuck how much faith, anything you got. Nobody knows 100% truth. Absolute truth.
And I don't think it's meant for us to know the 100% truth. I think the truth, like when the scriptures say the truths were scattered, and you have to actually piece the truth back together by using this over here, that, this, and that. It's like a puzzle. It happened to be put back together. So yeah, you're not gonna get the absolute truth, all up front. Truth it's gonna come in different forms. Yeah. He said the video in the background or the people talking. The video is AI, but people talking are real. Yeah, let them be known, because they just think, yeah, the AI. You see us on the screen right there. We're on the screen. You see two squares with with us
Two
inside
squares.
the screen, right?
You calling a square two squares? Say, nigga, that's a rectangle.
The background is just for that's what they into. It's an AI video put together. That's what they just the shit they into. All the stuff that people say they're into, the sacrificing, the Pizzagate, sacrificing to the god Molech and the rituals, and that's what
Yeah,
this
what's
shit
the lesson
represents.
behind all that when these babies get sacrificed to Moloch? What's the lesson behind that?
Yeah,
What did
right.
that baby need to learn? Or the
Right,
person
right,
sacrificing that baby?
right,
What did they?
right.
What lesson did they
Nah,
need to
and
learn?
that right there again, that gives you even more inkling that is energy harvesting, because why would the baby have to go through a lesson? The baby ain't even grow up yet to learn anything.
Baby ain't gonna know
Right.
shit.
Right.
But,
So
but
that
humans
right
are
there,
the babies though.
yeah.
But we're
But
like
that
the
right
babies
there,
too though, because what the human don't know nothing either.
yeah.
Like, we're blind as shit coming into this world. We don't know what the hell is going on. We know just as much leaving
What
as
up,
we did coming in. Nothing.
T-Dam? What up, T-Dam? All right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, bro. That right there, that gives you even more reason to believe that was energy already there. Because why would the baby have to go through that? Like the lesson learned.
Right.
The baby ain't gonna learn shit being at a infant
Baby gonna learn as a baby
stage.
being thrown into fire.
Right.
And that's a shitty way for somebody else to learn.
Right.
Oh, you got this person have to learn not to sacrifice people by
Right.
watching a baby being thrown in a fucking
Yeah.
volcano.
That don't make sense. Yeah.
Come on, bro. That shit don't make no sense.
That is a volcano, though. Damn, volcano.
Nah, that's what they used to do.
God damn.
That's what the nigga they used to throw. They used to throw
Yeah,
them
right.
in volcanoes, bro.
Right, yeah, just like they used to throw little black babies in alligator pits and alligator rivers.
They literally used to use
right.
sacrifice, bro.
Yeah, right. Yeah, So that right there, lean more to being in bondage, but the scriptures talk about bondage though. So I mean, if you understand that as a spiritual aspect of bondage, then you'll understand being spiritual, being put into a physical body, being bonded to a physical physical body. That's bondage.
Something as free as a spirit or a soul that's that's free and out and about and hovering over the waters and shit like that. That's freedom. But that body being entrapped in something physical like this, that shit piss, feel pain.
Right. Beat sack.
Oh, yeah, basically, that's bondage.
Yeah, that's bondage.
That's a prison. That's a prison for that spirit that's able to fly anywhere it want to fly.
Yeah, that's ochre.
Prison.
Yeah.
And then you put here crazy circumstances like you really, and then you limit it with inside the prison.
Yeah, right.
You got motherfuckers that's in the prison and they're in the hole of the prison. That's most of the general public.
Yeah, right.
Because you ain't even able to explore everything inside the prison.
Now you got some people that's living in the good side of prison too, and that'd be these type of
that'd be the wicked individuals.
Yeah, wicked individuals, right? Living
not
good.
All, not all, but majority.
They living good off the energy of the people.
But then they suffer, like you said, they suffering in ways we can't see.
Yeah, they suffering in ways we can't see.
Obviously, something is off with them if they got to sacrifice babies and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Obviously, it's something going on up there.
Exactly, bro. Because even to maintain that type of living that they're got to maintain, you got to just think about it. We looking at it like they're living in utopia. They living in heaven here on earth. Right, because they're wealthy, but we don't know what the fuck they really going through. Like you saying, they're suffering in ways we can't see.
Oh hell yeah, I believe that.
Basically, for the simple fact that they even got to go through all this to maintain and sustain that type of living.
Right.
What do you have to go through to even maintain that
Facts.
type of fucking living?
Crazy shit you gotta go through. Crazy. Right. I agree with that 100%.
In ways we can't.
There is suffering. That means nobody escapes the suffering.
Nah,
here.
nobody escapes that
Not
shit.
even a baby that gets thrown into the
Not
volcano.
even the baby that get thrown in the volcano or the baby that get thrown into the alligator. Thrown to the alligators. Yeah. Nobody escaped from it. Nobody can escape from that shit. When you put into this physical body, you suffer with whatever comes along with that shit.
Right.
No matter
There's
how,
always gonna be suffering.
no matter how evil and wicked we see it as, it's no matter what. Once you get put into that physical form, you suffer whatever comes along with that shit.
Yep. Because even if you did live a good life and then somebody you love around you dies, pass away, because everybody that could even be suffering to someone who lived a majority of a good life.
Facts.
Still, yeah. So this is a place of suffering for that person that said not everybody's suffering, but everybody's going to get it. Not everybody's suffering 24/7, but everybody's going to get a piece of suffering. So y'all both was right.
Right.
Y'all both was right. You know what I mean? People, you got people who are not suffering 24/7, but then you got a lot of people who are suffering 24/7. Whether it's from a medical condition that's not killing them, but it's keeping them in pain, or being kept apart from somebody they love, or some type of suffering is going on.
Facts.
So yeah, Earth is a place of suffering. So if you don't agree to that,
a bad memory could be you suffering from a memory that's something that's keep playing over and over in your head.
Right.
That's suffering. A parent dying, you know what I'm saying? That's suffering. Like you're going to suffer from something here on this planet.
So technically it is a place of suffering.
It's a place of suffering. Yeah.
But you can have good moments in a place.
You can have, and that's what any place. You can still have good moments, good memories, you know what I mean? Like that's what duality sets in. You can still have good and bad, and bad with good. You know.
That's why I said this place is similar to a dream, the sleep realm.
Right.
Adam fell into a deep sleep, and we fell into a deep sleep. Our souls are sleeping right now. And in dreams, you can have good dreams or you can have nightmares.
Right.
Or you can have an in-between dream that just don't make no fucking sense. It's not necessarily a good dream or nightmare. It's just some weird shit going on.
Some silly shit.
That's how life is. That's why we are in a dream state. We're dead. Yeah. And when you're in a dream state, you are unconscious, which means that you're in a death state. Because a death state is something that's unconscious. So yeah.
All right.
Because that's the only shit we have to compare things to. That's all we could do here in the dark. All we doing is feeling around.
Right.
That's why I said there's no absolute truth. I'm open to everything.
Yeah,
I used to be closed-minded to shit, but now that I understand that we're all in the dark and we're all feeling around. If somebody claims they ain't in the dark, they just denying the fact that they fucking blind.
Right. Facts. Right.
Yeah, I'm open. And the thing is, I'm open to all types of, theories and but I like to compare it to something, and I try to compare everything to the metaphysics, like the nature of things, and see how things operate on their own without human interference, and see how those things operate, and then I make an assessment.
Right.
Off of that, I don't just go listen what other people say, and and just go off of that 100%, because that's what a lot of us do. We just listen to everybody else say, and then we go off of what they say. Nah, I make an assessment first. I make an assessment. The only way you could do that, you got to compare the untapped natural things around you to the situations, and then make an assessment that way.
Yeah, right.
Make sure you ain't being manipulated. The only way you could do that is through metaphysics.
Exactly.
Because metaphysics is studying the nature of things,
right?
On a physical level, and on a energetic level, and on a spiritual level. And that's the only way you can make comparisons. So I'm like, all right, if there's vampires on this planet that's just here to manipulate people, and drain their energy and through taxes or actually drinking their blood, if that exists on this level, then it definitely exists in other levels. You know what I'm saying? So Definitely spiritual entities that's doing the same shit that Epstein and them doing. It has to be.
Right.
And another thing is, I know that, and how do I know that there's, some people say, well, how do you know that there's a spiritual realm or an energetic realm? Well, I can compare that to the nature around me. Most things is ran by energy. Energy comes from somewhere. So that means there have to be a realm where energy comes from. So there's an energetic realm. There's something where energy is produced. What about spiritual? Consciousness is what spiritual. If you're conscious to know to know that you're a being, then that consciousness had to come from somewhere. Which means it exists.
That you actually
that means you're an observer.
Yeah,
that means there have to be a grand observer.
Right. That you can actually recognize yourself as what you are. Like an animal doesn't have the ability to recognize itself.
Some animals do. Some animals do. They said there's certain animals that can recognize themselves in the mirror and everything. Orangutans and dolphins. There's some animals that literally can recognize themselves.
Yeah.
And that's because they contain a spirit. Because everything on the planet contains a spirit. And what is spirit? Spirit is there's levels to spirit, but spirit is ultimately is intelligence. Spirit just means intelligence, and there's levels to that intelligence. And the highest level is the observer that observes everything.
Yeah. And this is one of them thought-provoking. That's what we had, man. It's thought-provoking live streams, man. Shit, there's a lot of shit going on right now.
Right. It's like AI is running everything. And how do we know that AI haven't been running everything?
Well, AI. Well, if you understand,
AI just means artificial intelligence.
Yeah, which we're artificial intelligence beings ourselves to be.
Yeah, humans are artificial intelligence.
To be put to be put into a physical body of technology. We're basically like the greatest technology in the universe is being.
We're a copy of something that's cosmic, bro.
So yeah, we're actually in a artificial simulation. Which means we're in the artificial intelligence. We're in an artificial simulation, which means we're in artificial intelligence. Yes, that's what we are. We're ourselves. Our human existence is artificial because our spiritual selves is the true self.
Right.
Us being a carbon copy of
the
spiritual realm. Let's go down there and make man in the image of ourselves, which means we're in an artificial simulation.
Facts.
Makes sense. So we're
even the scripture say we're in an artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We're in an artificial reality, in artificial intelligence. Because the true definition of artificial intelligence is a copy of the original intelligence. And in human form, artificial intelligence is just a copy of human intelligence.
Yeah.
Think about it. And human intelligence is a copy of the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
So it's literally layers being built on top of layers. And the closer you get to the source, that's the closer you get to the origin or the original.
Right.
Because you got the original and you got the artificial.
Yeah.
Humans are artificial.
Yeah,
our minds are artificial intelligence. That's why we do have so many boundaries as humans.
Yeah.
Because we're artificial.
Yeah, we're going deeper into that artificial simulation by taking our consciousness and putting it into another entity, which is artificial intelligence that represent.
Right.
So we're representative of a representative of another representative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because we made into the image. If we made into the image of our creators, we're going to do the same thing that our creators did. And our creators created us and put its breath, which is basically information or energy, into us to give us intelligence and spirit, So we automatically going to do the same thing because we was made in the image of them.
Right.
We was made in the image of the creators, so we're going to do what the creators did to us. We're
Yeah,
going to create a world the same way they created
we're
the world.
we're basically co-creators. We're co-creators anyway. By default, we're co-creators. So
yeah, humans is the first artificial intelligence, and our bodies are built like machines.
yeah, our bodies is built from parts.
Our bodies are literally cyborg.
Yeah.
A biological cyborg with artificial intelligence running the program.
Yeah, our system, because this is the way our system is set up. You can tell, like, just by the organs, the way the organs is in place, what each function does in the body. That's
And check this.
That's artificial.
Our brains are completely programmable like a computer is.
Like a computer, yeah. Yeah, our brains are definitely, that's what our brain, yeah, it's definitely you know.
And what do computers, you could tell they built that shit off of that. What do computers have? Memory. What do brains have? Memory.
Yeah.
What do brains store? Data of our everyday, right? What do computers do? Store data.
Yeah. What our bodies store, our DNA stores data.
Right.
Artificial simulation is what we living in.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. There ain't even need no theory to that or conspiracy theory or none of that. It is what it is. And when you understand,
that's not the truth.
Right. That's just the truth. Absolute truth.
And you can tell when you create it because the intelligence behind this. We know that this shit just, you don't see that in reality. Something forming so complex out of nowhere, out of thin air.
Right.
And you don't see no proof of evolution besides science in the physical realm. But the real evolution takes place on a spiritual level.
Yeah, facts.
And the human can't really see that. All we can we can see is the physical evolution, which is science, technology.
That's it. Right. We can't see the spiritual
but
evolution.
There's a spiritual evolution that we can't see. So both creation and evolution are true. It's just they have to be put in a proper perspectives. Because our soul is evolving. Because that realm, your imagination is compared to the spiritual realm, which expands all the time. If you're not 100% brainwashed and you're just 100% a computer.
Yeah, imagination is one thing we cannot lose is our imagination, because that's where our imagination is what brings about creation. So that's one thing we cannot let go of, is having imagination. That's where our power lies at, is in our imagination. And not imagination just like hallucinating about something, but just having the mindset to actually create, because everything starts with a thought anyway. So you gotta have that, you always gotta have that, the power of that imagination to create things. You know what I mean? You can't let your imagination go dead to the point where you're not unable to really create. A lot of people let themselves, a lot of people lose their imagination based off the fact that they turn that off to basically go along with other shit, like you'll cut off your own creativity to basically take on somebody else shit, and just forget all about your power to create. You basically helping somebody else with their creation, instead of having the mindset of creating your own as well. Like some people turn that part of their mind off. They turn that shit off. It's like working a 9 to 5 and shit, and basically not really working on working for something on your own and shit, but you're basically taking on somebody else's ideas and building upon somebody, helping someone else out with their ideas. But I'm not knocking nobody for that, but being though you are a spiritual individual that has the power to create, as well, you wanna make sure that you're, creating things, individually and shit, using your own imagination. I mean, using your own imagination, not imagination someone else gave you, but you create your own imagination, things out of your own imagination. I mean, but yeah, man. I don't know, man. What
These people are vampire. Epstein's and the people he worked
fuck,
for.
yeah,
These
and
Trump and these
these
Biden and
motherfuckers
all
ain't.
these
They gonna
motherfuckers.
continue. These motherfuckers gonna right.
They all vampires, man.
Blood
All
sucking,
the motherfuckers
blood sucking fiends. Blood sucking fiends. They are blood sucking fiends.
And that's the program that they running on. They running on a vampire type of programming. They got us though. They got us because we stuck using their system to survive. So we stuck using their system to survive. That means that they're able to keep feeding off of our energy. If we pull that energy. Simple as that.
Until we pull that energy.
Yeah, until we pull our energy. Yeah, we gotta pull our energy back. Withdraw your energy from this system as much as you can. You might not even do it all at once, but sometimes it takes time to work at it. Right. You ain't gonna get it all done. It might take a couple of years. I mean, you gotta think we was all born onto this system, so it's hard. I guess you just gotta start learning things piece by piece. Start learning skills to basically use less of a system as you can. And then eventually start teaming up with other people and create your own systems. That's how shit's supposed to flow. I don't care what realm we in. That shit works every realm. That's universal law. We have the freedom to do that. And of course they have the freedom to try to take us down too for doing that. And that's what makes this realm. Free will, right? That's the type of free will we have. That's why so much bullshit goes on in this world. Because people do have the free will within inside this realm with certain things, and those are the type of decisions that we make. Oh, they talk about the FBI shit. They talking about the Pizzagate and all that. Yeah, they talking about the Pizzagate in the comments. A pizza, the sauce represents blood sacrifice. See that? See, I ain't even do all that. Niggas be in here talking about the emails that's breaking down all the codes that they were using. They were talking about their illegal pedo activities.
Right. Yeah, I seen that shit.
And we don't even know if that shit's a hoax or not. We don't even know what to believe with that. I mean, I guess the shit was in the email, so.
Right.
But then who knows? All that shit could have been a hoax. Who knows, man? Who knows these days what they doing out here? You can't believe everything you see on the internet. There's a lot of things you can believe, but there's a lot of things you can't.
Right.
This is how you able to discern. Now they, like you said, JR, they confusing us even more with this AI shit that you can't tell what's real and what's not.
AI definitely.
Or not even just AI, the deep fake shit, because the deep fake ain't AI. That's different.
I don't know. Deep fake is part of AI.
Nah, deepfake was they had deepfake running before they even started running the AI. They could integrate AI to it, but deepfake was usually ran. It was its own thing. Yeah, you can look that up. The deepfake
You might
shit
be
was
right.
different. Was on its own shit, huh?
Yeah, you might. I think you might be right with that.
Yeah, and now since 2026, I'm pretty sure they can integrate AI and have AI help with the deepfake shit. But even before AI was popping, the deepfake shit, they been had that, and they didn't need AI to run that. That's a different type of software. But yeah, now even with the AI shit, they like to drop a bunch of confusing stuff. But anybody who knows just paying attention, been paying attention over the last decade or so, you'll be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, they saying this Yahoo shit is AI. They say he did already. So all these videos of him coming out on social media, they saying that's all that shit is AI. I don't know.
Seen that.
I don't know what
Did you see the one with the ring where they said his ring went missing?
Yeah.
Out of the picture, it looked like it was edited. So the people were saying that it was either edited real good or it was AI.
Then he had 6 fingers.
Yeah.
He had 12 fingers all together.
Well, that's AI right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because the AI software don't really get the digits correctly. That's one way to spot AI shit, because sometimes they don't get the finger count right. Yeah, man. We definitely want to thank y'all for coming through, though. Make sure y'all subscribe if y'all haven't already.
Yeah, appreciate y'all tuning in.
See, we need more live streams like this where we talking the real shit.
Yeah, we talking thought-provoking content. Not just always talking about bullshit all the time. I mean, hey, man, sometimes you talk about the bullshit sometimes, but sometimes you gotta have,
Oh yeah,
balance it
internet
out.
is flooded with that. You could go
Yeah.
anywhere to get that.
Yeah, you gotta balance it out with, other thought-provoking content as well.
Somebody said the AI mermaids. Huh.
The AI mermaids.
Somebody started AI and mermaids and saying that they real. I seen a picture that was definitely AI where it showed them the elite sitting around eating a mermaid. And they say they eat mermaids too.
They was eating mermaid?
Yeah, but you could tell that shit was AI though.
Mermaid meat. They was what they eat mermaid meat and shit.
I mean, some shit you could definitely tell is AI if you just look at it, because you can see like
Right.
motion video.
Yeah. Looks glitchy.
Yeah, it looks glitchy. Yup. Like it's not really that hard to
It's
spot, but some people do really good editing.
Yeah,
Some people
right.
do really good editing and able to hide a lot of the stuff.
Right.
But majority of the stuff you could tell is AI. It's the deep fake shit you need to be worried about when it comes to them making somebody else look like somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's like I feel like that's like more so they was using that even during the Osama bin Laden days. That's the crazy thing about that.
Well, disguise and shit, like a disguise.
Nah, it's actually when they go on television, rather it's looks rather it's live and not, which some of them don't even be live. It just be pre-recorded and make it look like it's live. And they have dude on the news using the deep fake. It don't even be the person. They able to change their voice and their face and make it look like somebody else is there talking. Yeah. And that's not even no AI shit. That's the deep fake technology. You don't need AI to operate that.
Hey, that shit with Biden.
It's possibility. There's a possibility they use that with a lot of those presidents. For sure. Yeah, so you don't even know who the hell who's even up there running things for real, to tell you the truth. They can fake all of that.
Artificial intelligence is right.
Yep. Exactly. All that could be faked. But who knows?
Biden. He said Biden was up there. Chocolate chip ice cream. All that shit was AI Biden.
Who knows? Right. It could be AI Trump up there right now.
Right. Whatever he is. AI
Who
Trump
knows?
or real Trump. Still a dickhead.
Right.
Whether he AI Trump or real Trump. At the end of the day, he's still a dickhead, man.
And then when you see him in person, it could be either a decoy or somebody with a mask. Well, it'd be a decoy or somebody with an actual mask on.
And even that person with a mask or a decoy is still a dickhead.
Right.
Even personate that motherfucker.
They don't let too many people get close to him. That's why like only certain people is allowed to get close to him to see what it actually looks like. Rather, you can tell it's a mask on. It's like you can't look them directly in the eyes.
Right. Fucking loser.
That's the shit. That's how they able to steal Michael Jackson shit. They had people up there telling Bill Bellamy, and then when he did the interview with Michael Jackson, that his team is not allowed to look at Michael Jackson.
Yeah, they say he wasn't allowed to listen. Right. That's
like, oh, because y'all ain't want to see that the nigga had a mask on, and that wasn't really Michael Jackson.
Right.
Then you wasn't allowed to look at it because he was like, there ain't no, that's a nigga in the mask. There ain't no Michael Jackson.
Ain't Michael Jackson.
They got scared.
That's funny.
Niggas said he had his whole team, like, they had to wait in the bathroom and shit.
Right.
They couldn't even come out and see. Yeah. They all had to turn their heads and shit so they can't see Michael Jackson and whatnot when he can't. Like, you can't look at him. What that mean? He don't want you to look him in the eye. Like,
yeah, they say, yeah, like, Mike walk by, you gotta put your heads down.
Y'all gotta put your heads down. You're not allowed to look at him. What type of programming shit is this? Why can't Bill Bellamy and his team look Michael Jackson in the eyes? Why they had to turn around and face the wall?
Michael Jackson right his motherfucking eyes, like, Mike, what up?
And you would have been looking into a mask. You would have been looking into a mask. You would have been a nigga yelling out, that ain't Mike. And then they all would turn around. If you had looked that man in that eye. They would have told y'all, y'all seen that it wasn't Mike. None of them would have made it out here alive. They don't want them to
right.
They don't want them to know that they don't want them to put the truth out there that Mike wasn't really there. It's some nigga wearing a mask. You're not allowed to see this. You don't need to be seeing this.
All right.
You come to find out, damn, that wasn't Michael Jackson for real. Pew, pew, pew. That's another thing. They said they was using a masked up Michael Jackson for a long time too. You hear that theory?
I remember that.
They're saying that Michael Jackson died during the Pepsi commercial. Or sometime after that. When his hair caught on fire during the Pepsi commercial. They said that he got switched out after that. Not saying that it's true because I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but that was definitely one of the theories that was going around back then.
Well,
that they switched Mike out.
Yeah, they had Well, if that's the case, then they had switched out Mike in court. Because all that shit happened after.
Oh no.
All the court shit happened after that. All the shit with Sony happened after that. Tommy Mottola's the devil.
Yeah, that happened way after that though. Didn't that Pepsi commercial come out in the 80s?
Yep.
And they ain't start going after him until the 90s.
Yeah, Mike was still dark skinned then.
Yeah, Mike was still dark skinned, facts. Well, they saying that the white one ain't the real one. That's what they saying. They saying that the nigga, last time they see the nigga black is after he got burnt up with a Pepsi commercial. They don't know that was the real one that came later on. That's what they was saying. We ain't saying that it's true, but that was just one of the theories that was floating around.
Oh, Miguel, you bloody bastard. Michael, I love you. You bloody bastard.
I hope that shit ain't true, because I'm sitting over here laughing at that shit.
Shit, Mike, all right. Mike will be all right. Mike good.
Yeah, that'd be crazy if that shit happened for real. Them niggas switched them out. Damn, like, you mean to tell me that Pepsi commercial incident, that was a hit? Oh, y'all niggas try to put a hit out on MJ?
Put a hit on Mike. They put a hit out on Mike on stage.
Damn.
Mike good though. Shit.
They look like somebody tried to put a hit out on Hillary on camera when that light fell next to them.
Yeah.
That shit looked like a hit.
Yeah, that shit did.
If that would have fell on them, they would have been done.
It would have
knocked them lights heavy as shit.
Out. Yeah. It would have cracked their damn skull open.
Yeah. Like, damn, what the hell going on out there?
It would have went from Hillary to Killery.
Facts. What the hell going on out there?
Oh, Miguel, you bloody bastard.
Man. What you think? What y'all think, y'all? Y'all think they switched Mike out after that Pepsi commercial incident?
I think Mike switched himself out. Nah, I think Mike switched himself out when he started getting all the goddamn surgery. He switched himself out. Yeah, Mike switched himself out, bro.
That might be more accurate, but then the surgery thing.
Mike started getting surgery. Mike switched himself out. He started adopting white kids.
The suspect part was the multiple surgery thing. All right, I can understand nigga get surgery once, but they say he was addicted to it. What type of shit is that?
Yeah, I believe once they start, I think they start getting addicted to surgery. Like people in that realm of Hollywood, they start getting surgeries and shit. Yeah, they constantly get them because they never feel like they're perfect. You see what I'm saying? So they get addicted to keep getting surgery done. Yeah, they do. It becomes an obsession after a while.
That's a form of suffering right there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Mike what? You see, Mike nose kept changing every so often. Mike nose would change. So I'm like, damn, he got another surgery on his nose. Till it's damn near down to nothing.
Was that the real Mike?
Yeah, that was the real Mike. Mike was just doing that shit himself, though. I think Mike was just, I don't know. Mike might have had his motives, though, man. Mike was doing a lot of, he was doing a lot of business with the upper echelon. So him changing his complexion and all that shit might have just been a play on his part. You know what I mean? To move different. Him adopting white kids and all that. Mike was becoming, up, higher up in society. So Mike started playing the game, bro. Yeah, Mike started playing the game.
I don't know. You think that was the motive behind it?
Yeah, Mike ain't coming from people like that. Mike wanted to get as much out of them as he could.
White, because you say he basically changed his nose to like white.
Yeah, because why Mike could have adopted any. Yeah, Mike could have adopted black kids. Like, why was his choice to adopt white kids?
I don't know. I don't think he looked at color that way though.
No, I don't think Mike I don't think Mike looked at color that way. I mean, he looked at color.
It ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not wrong with that. But I'm just saying when certain society.
Now
you playing the game and you in it for the long haul.
I feel right.
Making different moves. You're gonna start making different moves.
Because some of the older actors get surgery so they can try to get younger roles, but that shit never worked.
Yeah, and that shit never worked out. I think Mike's surgery came into play when he was trying to do certain moves in certain realms of business.
You think?
Hell yeah, man. Mike
I don't know. I don't know if he would have had to do that though. I don't know if he would have had to do that though because
Yeah, he did.
Just
They did say
based
it was
off the
skin
name
disease.
alone, huh?
Yeah, they said he did have the vitiligo and all that.
I feel like I don't feel like he had to do that to move ahead
You
in
don't think so?
business. Nah, I think
You don't think
that's
so?
just some personal shit that Mike was going through.
Mike was going through. You think it's identity? Probably the identity crisis he
Yeah, I
was
think
going
it's
through.
more so that
Yeah,
because he became
right.
famous too fast.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that'll fuck somebody up. Like you gotta
yeah.
think
Right,
about he
right,
was
right, right,
famous
right.
all his life, so
Yeah, all his life. Yeah, you
he
right.
never really knew how it was to be a regular person.
Yeah, right, right. So he might have suffered from identity crisis. That might,
You
that
don't know
might
what the
be.
hell that do to
Yeah.
somebody. Facts.
And that once again, we say, people suffering, man. No matter if they wealthy or poor, they gonna suffer something in this realm, and that's the point. That's another point to make based off the Mike reference. Mike was suffering with some shit, man.
I mean, yeah, that's
I mean, to get
that's
all
a
those
crazy type
surgeries,
of.
it's one thing to have skin disease, but Mike was changing like structures and shit, like nose and lips and cheeks, and like that don't have shit to do with skin.
Yeah, he was fine.
That
He was fine. He
yeah,
could have stopped that. You know, he was
right.
cool in the early '90s.
Yeah.
Whatever after that he had done, that he ain't need none of that extra shit. But he was cool.
Yeah.
Like whatever he did, and he stopped. Like I say, early '90s. Like he was good right there.
Yeah, right.
He ain't have to do nothing else. But just you know what I mean? Just continue to eat good and live good. He ain't have to do no more surgery after that. There was no reason for surgery. Unless it was a medical issue that was where life or death type some shit. But I doubt that because that was just cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, because he that's what I'm saying. Like he started changing bone structure and all that shit. Like,
and that wasn't him then, nigga.
Yeah.
That's somebody else parading around as Mike Jackson. If the whole bone structure got different.
Yeah, like nose. Like,
I don't believe that shit. Yeah, some of that
like
shit.
Like you, a skin disease is one thing, but to change your nose and cheek and lips and shit like that, that's a whole nother. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
That's suspect.
Besides, he say he wanted to look like Liz Taylor. Yeah, I mean he did start looking like Liz Taylor. That's one thing, he did start looking like Liz. Yeah, Mike was out here looking like Liz.
You think he did that on purpose?
Yeah, Mike did that shit on purpose, bro. Why else you would change your nose and all that shit? I understand the skin condition part. Maybe you want to get surgery to kind of, but this nigga start changing his nose and lips and like his bone structure and all that.
But I'm saying you think he was aiming for the Liz Taylor look.
I mean, he looked unique. Nobody else looked like Mike, so he was obviously like trying to look like something different because.
Yeah, but did he try to look like Liz Taylor? Do you think he tried to look like Liz Taylor?
I don't know, y'all. Put Liz Taylor. Put Liz side by side with Mike, and that'll tell you if he's trying to look like Liz or not.
I mean, he sort of tried to have his hair like, because his hair wasn't that damn jet black, so that was dyed hair.
Yeah. Well, hair. Yeah, well, the hair shit was all
the hair, the lips.
All that. Yeah.
Not really the lips. I don't know, bro. I don't think that shit.
Mike got his lips done.
I don't think he was trying to be Liz Taylor, but
he was definitely dealing with some identity.
He was dealing with something. If that was really him, I'm still second guessing whether that was Mike at that point when he started fucking with his bone structure. Yeah, I'm like, that might not even be Mike right there. For real, that might not even. You see how they switched Jim Carrey out?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That shit might not even have been Mike. See, we wasn't really thinking along those terms back then.
Right.
We ain't think that, damn, they switched Mike out 100%.
Yeah, I don't think
now these days, we like, damn, they definitely switched out Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I don't think he hated Joe, but he just hated Joe ways, constantly asking for money and shit. Just doing different shit. Like Joe was kind of moving funny after a while. He heard phone calls when I'm talking to somebody about Joe asking for $500,000. I told him no. I said, "Why, Joe? Why?"
Because he wanted to deal with Don King.
I
told him not to deal with Don King.
Don King? Yep. I told him no. He got angry with me.
That's because Joe got involved with Don King. And I told him not to get involved with Don King.
All right.
He ended up broke because he was dealing with Don King.
Yeah, he said he asked Mike. He said Mike said he asked him for 500,000 and shit.
So so that had to be real conversations with the real Mike.
Yeah, that was Mike, bro. That shit crazy.
I don't know, man. Who knows? They could be switching some of these motherfuckers out. We would never know. Like he told us that wasn't the real Biden. You know, the Epstein file said that wasn't even a real Biden since 2000.
I believe that wasn't Biden. That wasn't Biden, bro. That wasn't Biden. That was like,
yo, this.
Yeah, that wasn't Biden.
Yo, this shit is wild, bro. And you know, it's crazy.
Wasn't Biden.
They could have been doing this with everybody right in front of our faces. We don't know who's real and who's fake up there on that television set.
Well, to us, every motherfucker is fake because they all on there, you know, being somebody they not, acting like they for the people and all that shit when they not. Yeah, all that, even if they didn't get switched out, they still fake as shit. They still fake.
Fake as far as what? Artificial intelligence or just being controlled?
Nah, being controlled.
Not being their true selves.
Yeah, not being their true selves.
Their true opinions and their true
just acting like they
none of that.
Yeah, but just lying and acting like they for the people when they not.
Well, that's part of the whole, you know, the clown act that they put on for the political theater.
Yeah.
So let's not forget that a lot of this is just political theater.
Right.
They just act, knowing that it's a club that they all agree on. That's the only way they can keep their power structure.
Mm-hmm.
They can't really be against each other. They have to make rules for themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's excluded from the public. We already know all this shit's just game with them. They con man. We know we can spot a con man.
Right.
Con man. Yeah, they all suspect in some type of way. Like if that wasn't the real Michael Jackson, who that motherfucker was that was Chris Tucker was parading around with? Right. If it wasn't the real Michael Jackson.
Right.
Then again, Chris Tucker might not have met the real Michael Jackson. He probably thought the figure that he met was the real Michael Jackson.
That's crazy.
That might not even been the real Michael Jackson anyway. He might not even know that shit.
Dang.
Like that's not it's Michael Jackson. It's just not the original one.
Dang. Ain't the original Miguel?
Who knows, man?
That's Miguel Rivera and shit.
Miguel. Who knows, man?
Oh, fucking Miguel Rivera.
And it's like when they had them actors playing Biden, was it the same actor or different niggas played the role? Because that would be even crazier if different niggas played the role.
Right.
Because like, all right, everybody, all right, after a while, well, not everybody, but a lot of people after a while, like, okay, that's not really Biden. Who the fuck is that motherfucker standing up there in a mask? He got a mask on. He's like 6 feet taller. Like, who's this motherfucker up here? Like Biden. But we know it ain't Biden.
Biden. You know,
that's Biden.
Biden.
Nothing but lies. Leiden.
Joe Leiden.
Joe Leiden. Cause that damn sure wasn't Biden. That might not even be Trump.
That's slump.
Right. That's Trump. Joe Biden
Ronald Slump or Ronald
Joe
Chump.
Biden is Ronald Chump.
Ronald Chump.
Who knows? We don't even know of that. It could be two or three Trumps out there. Each new color of the tie could be a different Trump. Who knows? What the hell type games they going on out here?
Whatever it is, all of them dickheads. It don't matter. Yep.
One thing they made sure that everybody loved their servitude. I think that is,
Right.
They made us all. You gonna love your servitude.
Learn who we are. Learn to submit.
Right. What that nigga said? The banks has given us unlimited power.
Right.
And we gonna rule you.
They gonna feed off your ass. Yep. That's what they do. Them energy vampires feed off your ass. They do. See?
That was some of the most realest shit that was some of the most realest shit that he ever said, though. That is how they think. I mean, it was a little extreme on some parts. Oh man. Somebody said they don't think that's the real Martin or Jamie Foxx. Who knows? Who knows these days? Now I think that's the real Martin and Jamie Foxx. I mean that one Jamie Foxx video where it looked like that nigga was light skinned. I don't know who the hell that was. But I think that was just the lighting of the video. It could have been a filter or some shit, but that nigga was light skinned as hell. That was the shit after they said he had the medical incident. And he had to do that comeback video. And people was like, that's not Jamie Foxx. Oh, and then the light-skinned Beyonce. Yeah, those might just be filters or some shit like that, or just makeup. But yeah, Beyonce was light-skinned and shit too, yeah. They might be getting their makeup done like that, though. And subscribe if y'all haven't already. Like this video by double tapping the screen.
All right. I just listen to that shit.
What happened?
I was just listening.
Oh, why you ain't play that shit? I thought that's what you was about to do.
That's some funny ass shit, bro.
I thought you was about to play that shit. So they see what we was talking about.
And the entire ship was routing for the beaver. Unlock your
What is that?
Oh, that's the Justin Bieber rant. That ain't the cop joint.
It's the 20 minutes.
And we're gonna ride your doorway to perception.
It's like
one, but New York. Child killers, child torturers. You are new. Once again, if you try to take on me.
It's like 20 minutes of just.
Oh, that's the compilation joint?
Yeah, yep.
Oh.
Man, this shit crazy.
Yo, man, if y'all haven't already, make sure y'all head over to nightandayherbals.com. We got our natural products over there.
Yes, indeed.
We got all types of natural products, hair care, skin care products, soaps, lotions. We got CBD in all forms. We got CBD soap and CBD lotions. We got pre-rolls. We got CBD herbal cigarettes. We got vapes. We got wild sea moss hoodies on there. So check us out, man. That's nightandayherbals.com. And this has been sponsored by nightandayherbals.com.
Facts. And on that note, man, the link to the shops is in the description too. So if you
And
want
that's
to
the
donate,
QR code too. If y'all want to
QR code on the screen.
code. Right.
Yep. If you want to donate, links to the cash apps and all that in the chat, all that. So appreciate y'all tuning in. We're gonna catch y'all on the next live stream. Probably be live back again tomorrow.
Right.
So we catch y'all on the next one. All right.
If you crave nature but still shop online, Night and Day Herbals is your dream come true. Discover premium herbal soaps, shampoos, and CBD products. All organic, all for you. Shop now at nightandayherbals.com.